This is Manhattan Community Board 1. This is our full board meeting and our final meeting at Wednesday for the year 2022, Wednesday, December 21st. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:08. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We have our public session as we always start first. Each public member of the public has a couple moments to speak. There will be a timer that's up. I apologize if you're going long. You might get muted, but we appreciate you coming and attending, and we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to call your names. I'm going to ask that you would please raise your hand as I call your name in the public session, if you know how to do that on your phone, so that I could then unmute you. So in this order, we're going to, for the public session, start with Diane Lapson, and then we'll go to Mary Perillo and Kimberly Flynn, and then after Kimberly will be Janine Kyle. Okay, so if you've heard your name called, please raise your hand in the public session and I will call on you. Diane, you are first. Diane Lapson. Diane, I sent you a request to unmute your mic.
Because I'm going to speak for Mary Perillo, sorry.
Diane Stein, I know, I didn't, okay, I'll call on you. I have Diane Lapson, but she hasn't unmuted, so since you're here and you're unmuted, go for it, Diane Stein.
Okay. My name, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
My name is Diane Stein. I'm a public member of Community Board 1 Quality of Life Committee. I'm also on the World Trade Center Survivor Steering Committee. I'm a resident of Independence Plaza and I'm also enrolled in the World Trade Center Health Program. Yesterday, it was announced that the 9/11 Responder and Survivor Health Funding Correction Act was dropped from the omnibus bill, even though we were promised that this would be included from Senator Schumer's office. Cuts to this program will have terrible consequences for the 9/11 responders and survivors, many of whom live and work in Community Board 1. People who develop cancers or other 9/11 related illnesses won't be able to become enrolled in the program in the future, and there will be cuts in services for those who are enrolled. Plus, they won't be able to study the effects on those who were infants or children at that time. I hope that a representative from Senator Schumer's office is present because I want to know how this happened and whether this can be corrected. I am sad and outraged, and how funding can be restored. I hope that Community Board 1 will do everything in its power to help right this wrong. Should I also read Mary Perillo's statement? Hello?
Tammy's shaking her head no. I don't know if she's hearing you.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Mary Perillo's statement can be submitted on in writing. That would be great because we're only doing a couple moments per person.
Oh,
all right.
I was told it could be done by proxy.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. From Mary Perillo, September 11th survivor, 9/11 Environmental Action and Health Program member. I am asking that the board support Senator Gillibrand's effort to have the 9/11 Health Funding Correction Act added as an amendment to the omnibus bill, or if that is not possible, to co-sponsor a new bipartisan bill in January 2023. As we all know, many of our friends, family members, neighbors, and the responders are suffering the dire effects of exposure to the toxins and depend on the World Trade Center Health Program for treatment and medication. This must continue to be fully funded for at least the next decade. The program will grind to a halt very quickly without it. Senator Gillibrand was in our corner from day one on this issue. I was in the room just after she was appointed when affected people from 3 community boards gathered, as she requested, to get her up to speed on what we were going through. We need to do all we can to support her efforts and keep the World Trade Center health program there for our community.
Thank you very much for reading Mary's statement. Diane, after you, we're going to go, because we have Mary as well, we're going to go to Janine Kiley. So thank you. Janine, welcome to Community Board 1. And Janine is our fantastic chair of Community Board 2.
Am I unmuted yet?
You are now, yes.
Okay,
welcome.
okay. Good evening. I'm Janine Kiley. I'm a Democratic District Leader downtown, and I am here to speak on the same topic, asking Community Board 2 to push as much as possible Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand and their support to get the World Trade Center Health Program medical funded in an amendment to the omnibus bill. And I worked downtown. I live downtown, but I also worked downtown during 9/11 in Tribeca. This is a critically important piece of legislation and funding for our entire community. And I just want to add another voice to say that this is really important. And if I'm not sure what else we can do at this point. Flood Schumer's office with calls and so forth. But just thank you for letting us speak tonight.
Thank you, Janine, very much for coming. I'm going to mute back up. Following next people to speak, if Diane Lapson is here, obviously, Diane, raise your hand. Gotcha, Diane. You're next. There you go.
Hello.
Welcome, Diane.
Hi. I'm sorry I could not do it before. I'm going to put my thoughts in writing, but I just wanted to say, since it's so critical that we respond, I think it's really important for the community board to make a statement and to show that, representing all of the people downtown, how important this is. I think if you remain silent on the community board, it's going to be a big problem. And speaking for myself, I waited till this year to finally get to the clinic. But that's what happens when you get very involved. Usually you don't plug in till it's almost over. So I can imagine there's a lot of people who don't even realize they're being affected by their experience. So I just wanted to say, I hope sincerely that we can depend on the community board to make sure that the elected officials know how important this is to us, and that we continue advocating on behalf of the downtown residents. And people who worked here and first responders, and I will put the rest in writing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane. Nice to see you back at the board.
You can't see me, but it's nice to be here.
Come in January. We'll
Yeah.
see. All righty. I'm gonna move you on to the next person. We have a hand up by E. Keenan. Miss-
Can I go ahead and go?
Yeah, you're on. Welcome.
Great, super. I don't know if my video is working or not. Is my video working?
No, it's not. Only because you're in the attendee section.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. My name is E. Keenan. I'm a Lower Manhattan resident and a Democratic District Leader serving with Janine. And I wanted to appear and just add to the group of folks who are urging our federal officials and urging the community board to reemphasize its voice to our federal officials to support 9/11 families and first responders and extend the availability of medical care and other care to anybody affected by 9/11. Just from a policy standpoint, I'd note, and an equity standpoint, Congress just passed with bipartisan support the largest defense budget I think we've ever had, a bigger defense budget than even President Biden asked for. We're spending untold amounts of money on prosecuting defense operations abroad and other things. Here we have families, civilians, and people in uniform who were attacked on our country's own soil. And for us to be spending billions or even trillions of dollars on defense abroad while not backing our own people who were attacked on our own soil, who are the victims of a despicable attack, I just don't know what to say about the juxtaposition of those two things. I don't know how members of Congress could support spending all this money abroad, many of which is justified, but not support the people who suffered here at home. Please, please, please support our families affected by 9/11.
Thank you very, very much. Next person we have who asked to speak is Jill Goodkind, Scott Payne. And well, Scott, we're gonna have you wait until we get through all of everywhere we're going. So let's do Jill Goodkind, Kimberly Flynn, Richard Corman. And so if you've heard your name, please put your hand up. Okay, Kimberly, you should be able to unmute yourself. Kimberly? There you go. Welcome, Kimberly.
Can you hear me?
You can, welcome.
Great, thank you. I'm going to speak as an individual 9/11 survivor. And yes, as somebody who was on the ground floor of 9/11 environmental action, but I'm not speaking for the organization right now. Just to say, you know, this bill is absolutely critical, and we cannot go for very long without it, without seeing very serious impacts to 9/11 survivors and responders. So, you know, again, I am somebody who, you know, came to organize downtown pretty close to the beginning, and the perspective of my organization was an ounce of prevention, was to actually prevent harm. What I have to tell you is that we never imagined the harm that we are seeing play out now. We did not realize that we were going to be looking at this number of cancers. We did not realize that there was potential for other kinds of illnesses to emerge, in, you know, in addition to the obvious respiratory stuff. So from that perspective, I'm going to say we cannot see survivor care further diminished inside of 2 years. We cannot see the WTC Health Program freeze enrollments and cancer certifications. And we cannot wait as the critical and long overdue effort to track the health of people exposed as children is delayed yet again to the point where really it loses all feasibility. So, you know, if that happens, the program will be completely in the dark about the health impacts of 9/11 toxins on Lower Manhattan residents and students who were children at the time and who were most vulnerable to harm and whose health has not been tracked to scientific standards. So what I want to say is, and I hope we can get Senator Gillibrand's ledge director on this meeting to speak to you himself, but Senator Gillibrand has a plan. I mean, actually, she has two plans. She has a plan A and a plan B. Both are bipartisan. Both give the 9/11 community the greatest chance of success in getting this must-pass bill
Kimberly, wrap it up. I'm sorry.
now or very soon. And I thank and applaud Community Board 1 for this full court press. Thank you.
My pleasure. Jill Goodkind, Mariama James, Justine Kucha, and then Scott Payne. And then we have two of our elected officials who are here who would like to go fairly soon. So including Gillibrand's office and our council member, Marte. So Kim, sorry, I'm muting the back. Mariam, unmute yourself and go next. I'm looking for Jill.
Hi, I'm also speaking as a private citizen today, although in the interest of full disclosure, I'm also a member of the Survivor Steering Committee. I am a member of the World Trade Center Scientific, Technical, and Advisory Committee. I am a survivor. I'm the district leader also. Let me mention that in full disclosure as well. Assembly District 65, Part C. And more importantly, for this purpose, again, I'm speaking as a private citizen. I'm a survivor. I'm the daughter of survivors. I lost a parent to 9/11 disease. My mother's had 9/11 related cancer. And my children are impacted by 9/11 health as well. So it's very important to me that we get this money, that we get this bill passed. I find it infuriating that it was removed from the omnibus bill. And I think that to have these exercises every single year about never forgetting, you know, and these big dramatic presentations where everybody comes out and it's all theatrical and they claim to care and to never forget, and then they turn around the next day, September 12th, and they forgot. You know, we got to beg. I was literally in DC in 2010 begging, or 2009 and 10, begging for the first Zadroga bill, back in 2016, begging for the reauthorization, and now begging again for the healthcare that they promised us to last through 2090. And I'm disgusted that it was yanked, and we have to pass Senator Gillibrand's amendment. We have to have it supported. We need to remain bipartisan. The New York delegation needs to remain in place all together, you know, all sides, Democrat, Republican, Independent, and get this thing done.
Mariama, thank you. And I'm going to have you mute like I muted the public tonight. I am sorry. Mr. Corman is next, and then Justine. And if I've mixed up the order for the board members, I do apologize. But Richard, you can unmute. 2 minutes.
Yes, yes, I'm here as well to speak on behalf of this bill. I'm here to lend my voice to the many here tonight who are doing it so very eloquently, and to the thousands and thousands of people who were here on 9/11 and who continue to suffer from the effects of that day and those months afterwards. Just within the last few weeks, I submitted myself a witness presence statement for a very dear friend of mine who is applying to the program. He was here 9/11 and worked for years to try to rebuild this community, to rebuild this neighborhood. And it should come as no surprise that people are just now applying for this and that we underestimated the number of people that are affected by this. It should be no surprise because we were misled. We were misled then, and we were misled for so long afterwards. And nevertheless, people were here and people are suffering. And it's really disgraceful that this bill, this program is not funded. So I urge Community Board One has been in the forefront of advocating for this. And I know Community Board One will stand tall and loud in supporting Senator Gillibrand's bill. This is essential that it get done, and it's essential that it get done now so that people are not out there abandoned. The people that try to save this community and rebuild it are not abandoned.
Amen. And
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, Richard. Justine, you're next. Again, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. All right. So I'm here as an individual, besides being a board member. I'm here today as an individual, a survivor of two 9/11 cancers. I am a mother of children who were subjected to 9/11 and still suffering from PTSD, as well as myself. I am a friend of people who have died from 9/11 related cancers. And I am here to say that everything that went before, well said, and of course I support it. And Senator Gillibrand, thank you for having someone from your office here to be listening to us all, because we really support, and CB1 has to support Senator Gillibrand's bipartisan effort to get the 9/11 responders and survivors Health Funding Correction Act attached as an amendment to the fiscal year 2023 omnibus bill. And if it's not fully successful that it's attached, we need to get this bipartisan bill pushed through in the next Congress, because this is not okay. It's unconscionable that we are abandoning the survivors and responders who are suffering now, their children, my children, our children, who are suffering. You don't know you're sick until you're sick. You find out, and then it's too late. It is not okay. We need this World Trade Center health program to be fully funded so that it can meet the needs of survivors and responders going forward to the 99 years that was promised in the legislation to begin with. We need the cohort of people exposed as children who are living and are attending school in Lower Manhattan on and after 9/11 to be covered. It's crucial for the community, the World Trade Center health program, the doctors and our elected officials to understand what health conditions are arising out of the effects of 9/11. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. After Justine, Richard, Wendy Chapman, please. And Wendy, sorry, before you start for the office, can you please move Gil Ruiz from Senator Gillibrand's office over to attendee, as well as Councilmember Marte for attendees, as well as Hannah Wienerman. Thank you. And Wendy.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I'm here to echo the points that were made before that I want, hopefully, the bipartisan bill led by Senator Gillibrand and Representative Garbino of New York. I hope that this bipartisan effort is successful. And I think many of you on this call have heard my story before in terms of, I was pregnant and had a baby who's less than a year old when 9/11 happened. Fled the neighborhood like so many of us. And as many of you know, my oldest daughter has just had cancer removed as of last January. And I think back on the time when we were playing in Washington Market Park, which had been cleaned up post 9/11, and all the sand had been removed and the park had been cleaned, and then all of our babies were out there playing, and then a few months went by and men with maybe some women too with hazmat suits showed up and told us couldn't play in the park and had to remove all the sand again. So I'm concerned that we'll have additional cancers in the future. And, I have two children that were, less than a year old during that period of time. So thank you if we can do anything on that front. And then on a second point that I think is somewhat related, because I've been listening to a lot of the HAT study for our resiliency efforts. I think one of the things that I really took away, that if everything goes perfect, and that means getting congressional support, New York and New Jersey support, New York City support, if everything goes perfect, and that's a big if, given what's happening right now with Congress with this act, we wouldn't be protected till 2044. So I just wanted to ask everyone on Community Board 1 and our community to get involved and get involved soon on this issue as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Jill Goodkind, I have you as signed up to speak, but I can't find you. Are you here? If so, are you able to don't see
Your hand if you're here, Jill.
Not seeing Jill here, we're going to close the public session with Scott Payne from the EDC. and then we're going directly to Councilmember Marte and Mr. Ruiz. So Scott Payne, if you are still here from EDC. Yep, I see you. Okay. Oops. There you go. Welcome, Scott. Hi, Scott. Your mic is open.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the liaison for the Water Street Corridor Streetscapes project, and I just wanted to give an update on that project. Currently, we have 3 locations. The first 2, the first one is at the intersection of Whitehall and Water, and the second one on Water between Hanover Square and Quintes Slip. We're currently working on Con Edison's electrical duct installation. And last but not least, the final location on Water Street between Pine and Wall, we're working on Con Edison's gas installation. The contractor will be working during the holidays, except for the Mondays following Christmas and New Year's. And I just wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays. Be safe and merry, and thank you for allowing me to give this update. Thank you.
We would welcome you to come as often as you would like, including to our quality of life for any and all updates
I
for
appreciate that.
construction related. You want to send us slides, whatever it may be, we would certainly like more information is better than none. And happy holidays. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are actually really quite fortunate today because we also have many of our other electeds who are with us. So while we are moving everybody over, I know that Councilmember Marte has to do dual duty with several, so we're going to let him go first, followed by Gil Ruiz. Assemblymember New is with us tonight, so thank you so much for joining us. And in the meanwhile, for the office, if you would not mind moving over, we have some board members who have arrived and are stuck over in the attendee section. So Councilmember Marte, welcome and thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy. I also want to thank all the guests that spoke at the public session, especially to get the funding that's desperately needed for 9/11 survivors. My dad just finished treatment with his 9/11 cancer, and I know it's only time until me and my siblings potentially get it as well. And so we know from personal experience, especially folks who have been living downtown, that this is an issue that's going to affect multiple generations and not just the current one. So thank you for everyone for being here, for advocating, for organizing, and for Gillibrand's office for being present, making sure that our voices are heard and knowing that they have an ally in all of us that are on today and our neighbors. So thank you to everyone who spoke up. I just wanted to stop by, say happy holidays, and kind of do a quick year in review of what my office has been able to do this year. On the legislative front, we've introduced 14 bills and sponsored over 156 bills. The major topics that we've been tackling and addressing are illegal idling, helicopter noise, requiring developers to be transparent about affordable housing when they initially start the process and not at the end, as we've experienced so many times, expanding childcare to every New York City family, and streamlining programs for 9/11 survivors. On the budget front, we've been able to deliver over $15 million to projects and programs in our district, over $100K for new street trees and tree beds. DOT and Parks has started planting them this past fall, and hopefully they'll be completed by the spring. And my office is going to continue to make sure that we add additional funding every single year to increase the green spaces in our district. We also invested $2.3 million in parks and playground, $4.4 million in school renovation, and made sure that every single school in our district has an after-school program, whether that's chess, swimming classes, tennis, is making sure kids have an opportunity outside of the classroom. We also delivered $800,000 for social services for children, families, and seniors, and also $3.5 million for tenant protection and public housing renovations. on a land use front, where my office has spent a lot of our time, especially working with a lot of people on this call to make sure that our voices are heard. Like we've joined that as a affidavit in the lawsuit for 250 Water Street, making sure that anything that that has happened there is transparent and according to law. And we're going to continue to work with other elected officials and the Seaport Coalition to make sure that we do justice by that community and the historic district. I've been working with a lot of people, especially the coalition, to have 100% affordable housing at 5 World Trade Center to maximize the affordability at that location. Advocates in Chinatown and Tribeca have been working with me to make sure that the mayor listens to us, especially at alternatives, mostly adaptive reuse when it comes to the borough-based jail. And I thank this community board for always giving us the space, the time, and being a true partner in that fight. I've been working with neighbors at City Hall Park to make sure that renovations happen and we get better upkeep. And thankfully, the mayor has been working with us on that front. We improved all the lighting. We're going to get additional green space, and we're going to get additional gardeners to make sure that that space is as nice as it should be. In addition, in the Seaport, we've been working with the Fulton Stall Market to make sure that they can have a market that's accessible to everyone and that can fully realize the potential that was promised to us by the city and Howard Hughes. Quickly on constituent cases, we worked with PS 150 parents to make sure that there's more safety barriers when it comes to the new school there and making sure that kids are protected during drop-off and pickup times. We worked with residents at 20 Exchange Place to make sure that the elevators were fixed and that people wouldn't have to be dealing with walking up close to 45 stories every night just to get to their homes. We were able to fund a social worker at Southbridge and been able to provide funding for their yearly programming. And one of the most important cases that's typically under the radar is that we've been helping a lot of families apply to the ERAP program, because we're still in the midst of this pandemic. A lot of people are still out of work. There's a lot of housing insecurity and financial insecurity, and so we've been helping families from the Battery Park City to Lower East Side apply and get money and be able to live in the home that they've been living for years. We've done a lot more. I'm so proud of the work my team has done. I know many of you have worked with either Connor, Max, or Caitlin, and we want to continue the momentum that we've been able to do this year and continue to work closely with all the members of this community board. Thank you all, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Councilmember Marte. We're going next to, and again, I apologize, we normally do this in like a real official order and we do Q&A, but if Chris can hang out for Q&A, that's great. But I do know that Gil Ruiz and then Congressman Nadler are here, and they are both under some time crunch deadlines. So if you don't mind, Chris, if you don't mind hanging out for a bit, I'm going to have Gil go and then Congressman Nadler go as well. Gil, you're next. Thank you so much.
Congressman Adler should go ahead of me, if that's okay.
That would have been my preference. I just didn't want you to feel insulted. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, hardly. Please.
Okay, welcome, Congressman Nadler, and thank you for joining us for your last CB1, but maybe not last.
Well, thank you. Good evening. It's obviously a pleasure to be with you all. I'd be remiss if I did not take the opportunity to come to my last Manhattan Community Board 1 meeting as your representative. And thank you for all the important work we've been able to accomplish together across Lower Manhattan for the past 30 years. It's been my honor to represent the residents of CB1. I hope I've made you proud in both Washington and in the district as I advocated for my constituents. Just in this last Congress, as chair of the Judiciary Committee, I've been able to send several historic pieces of legislation to the president's desk. These include the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which is the first significant gun safety legislation enacted in a generation, 2 bills to protect victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment, and legislation to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. Last week, I was particularly special as I joined President Biden on the White House lawn as he signed the Respect for Marriage Act, a bill I've been working on since 2009 that codifies same-sex and interracial marriage into law. The projects that I've been able to work on here in Lower Manhattan count among the proudest moments of my time as a member of Congress, including returning Governor's Island back to New York City, bringing resources to the neighborhood to help rebuild after Superstorm Sandy, and most crucially, creating the World Trade Center Health Program and the Victims' Compensation Fund that included the survivor community and making those programs permanent. Unfortunately, not all my legislative fights have been won quickly. The omnibus slated to pass both chambers this week. Despite our best efforts, Senate Republicans would not agree to include the 9/11 Responder and Survivor Health Funding Correction Act in the bill. Senator Gillibrand and I worked very hard to get the bill included in the omnibus, and we will not rest until the World Trade Center Health Program is fully funded. We have been working on last-ditch efforts to get the bill into the omnibus as an amendment, and if that is not successful, we'll be introducing the bill again early in the new year. Representatives Goldman, Garbarino, and Maliotakis have already promised to co-lead, so I'm hopeful at our chances in a Republican-controlled House. I'm also working to get my Pregnant Workers Fairness Act into the omnibus as an amendment. This bill would allow pregnant women to access basic necessary accommodations at work to ensure that they can protect the health of their pregnancies and keep their jobs. I've been working on this bill since 2012, and at the moment, it looks very likely to get into the omnibus. Not a guarantee, but it looks very likely to get into the omnibus, and that would be a great victory. As I reflect on the hard fights ahead, I want to share how it has been an immense joy to work with CB1 over the years. CB1 is comprised of a passionate group of people who never shy away from a tough battle and embody what it means to live up to your civic duty and your commitment to improving the lives of your fellow neighbors. Well, I am sad to leave you all. You'll be in good hands with our incoming congressman. I speak with Congressman-elect Goldman frequently as I brief him on the matters of Lower Manhattan, and I will continue to mentor him as he takes office. On a logistical note, any casework that my office has been working on for constituents that I will no longer represent will be transferred to the appropriate office come January 3rd. I'm happy. I'll leave it there. Thank you again for your tireless work, and I wish you all happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Congressman Nadler. It has been a pleasure to be represented by you. I know that you have to run very quickly in 15 minutes, but if there's anybody who has any highline questions that cannot wait from the board, please raise your hand. And Bruce,
Do I sound like a chipmunk or is it working?
you're working.
Oh, good. Give me 60 seconds to say that I am bereft. The congressperson has represented me for decades, and I can't believe that you're not going to be there. Congressman Nadler has not only helped this community so strongly, but even personal constituent needs when I didn't get redress from city council people, senators, states assembly people. Congressman Nadler's office was always there, always there, even last month. So all I can say is you're going to be terribly missed. And thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Morton?
Yes, I just want to briefly say I want to thank Congressman Nadler for all his years of service. I go back to know Congressman Nadler since the old days on the Upper West Side when I lived on the Upper West Side in the 90s. Jerry, all the best. Congratulations on winning re-election. We're sorry we're not going to have you down here in District 1, but I know you're going to continue to fight for everybody in Manhattan and New York City and the United States. So we'll miss you down here in District 1, but we're glad we still have you here in New York. Take care, Jerry, and happy holiday.
Thank you, and same to you.
Trisha, you're next.
I also want to echo the thanks to Congressman Nadler. I don't know how many people know this, but in addition to all of the other things he's done for this community board, during the pandemic, he single-handedly lifted business owners, small business owners here that were not getting help through other means and hitting walls everywhere, connect with support, and literally helped fill things out. His staff was outstanding, and he always answered and got back within a matter of hours. I don't know how you did it. I can't express our gratitude. There are so many of us that you helped at that time. in addition to all of the other assistance you've given us with 9/11 and all of the other issues that have faced our community. So I can't thank you enough for everything and wish you all the best.
And same to you. And I'm glad you said what you said. It just shows that how good a staff I have.
Well, I think with that, I'd actually like to say, Congressman Nadler, you know, as they say, behind every good man is a great woman. So I want to say thank you to Hannah Wienerman.
Yes,
Because
definitely.
Hannah has been here, has shown up almost every month. And if she didn't show up, she sent us a note saying, I'm sorry, I can't come this month. So I really, through the pandemic, through all of the changes that we've had for all of the years, Hannah has really been an incredible person. So I want to thank you for having her, and I want to thank her for being with us in Community Board 1. So rounds of applause for Hannah as well. And Hannah, you will be incredibly missed. So with that, happy holidays, Congressman Nadler. Thank you. And we know you're not very far away, and we're glad you're still a part of New York. Hannah, now we can freely buy you drinks in Lower Manhattan without any worries, and I expect you to take me up on that offer. Alrighty. So for both of you, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure. Chris, you're still hanging on. We're not letting go of you. We're going to go to Gil Ruiz, who I understand has a time crunch. So Gil, you are next from Senator Gillibrand's office. And then unfortunately, we will have to get our party hats on also for Yulene, although I'm not accepting it yet. So Gil, you're next.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. Gil Ruiz, Senator Gillibrand's legislative director. It's great to be on with you. Sorry to come at you from my phone and sort of in transit here. I'm grabbing a quick dinner before the madness begins tonight as we look to pass an end-of-year spending package. We have over a dozen amendments we're voting on, including the Gillibrand Amendment 6607 that would provide $1 billion and authorize the research cohort study for the children or for 9/11 impacted youth. We are so encouraged by the developments today. We've been in negotiations with leadership, with Leader Schumer, with Leader McConnell all day, back and forth, which is why I'm here eating dinner, because I forgot to eat lunch. So got to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long night for me. But, we think we have a bipartisan, negotiated product. We expect McConnell to vote for it. We think it'd be a little unusual to negotiate it and not vote for it, but you never know. Things can happen. We have the senator and all of us and a lot of you all probably have all been whipping support up, making it known that we need a yes vote on this amendment. This is a modified version of the 9/11 Responders and Survivors Health Funding Correction Act that would have given us all the great fixes and things that we needed, that we all know it needs. We know we need $3 billion to make it completely whole. This is a short holdover so that, we're not under the gun next year as we do introduce that bipartisan bill that Rep. Nadler just alluded to, with Nadler and Garbarino and Goldman and so many other great partners. We feel good about making more progress next Congress. Right now, though, we certainly have our challenge ahead of us, and we need to pass this amendment. I do think it will be the last amendment of the night. I'm really sorry to report that. So if you're going to be watching, don't rush to C-SPAN yet. It'll probably be a little later in the night when this comes up. But please do watch closely. Please raise your voices as much as you can. To call for all of our partners across the country to make sure that they know that this is happening. A vote on critical 9/11 health funding is happening. We are going to continue. I'm getting off of this. I'm going to have a quick bite of food, and we're just going to keep calling Republican offices to explain everything. We are thrilled to share that CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has scored this as an actual deficit reducer. It will save money, and it's a completely paid for amendment. So we are making a strong case. All of you have shared your stories and given us such a platform, and the senator is using it, and it will be, hammering everyone until this is passed. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but happy to answer any questions.
Well, I know hands will be up, and so I'm gonna give board members a moment to put hands up because I do see cheers as well as hands. But I can't put it on a finer point more than to note that community boards are made up of people who are active in the community. People who have been here, whether they came for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 hour and fell in love with Lower Manhattan and became a part of our community board. We have lost an enormous amount of board members, both past and currently sick. So for us, it's more than just personal for ourselves. It's our neighbors, it's our friends, it's former chairs, former vice chairs, and current members who are suffering. So it is an extremely personal, and we represent all age groups in this, from, as you heard from one of our board members, from the youngest who was a toddler, right, a young child, to those who were much older. And we're still here. We deserve to be recognized for that. And the people who stayed here, rebuilt, or worked everywhere in the pile, security, essential workers, all of us, we deserve it. The teachers, anyone from the beginning to the end. In this order, and again, briefly, Mariama and then Justine.
You're muted, Mariama.
Thank you for coming, first of all. You mentioned that you expected that Leader McConnell would likely vote for it, but is he one of the 10 that you need to vote for it? Or can it
Yeah,
pass without him?
every single Republican is one of the 10 we need at this
Well,
point.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
say, yeah, we have.
Have you identified 10 people that could do it without him? Or no?
we have
Okay.
identified them. So that's what tonight's all about. Just a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and not hoping for, preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariama.
Justine, you're next.
Gil, thank you for coming, and thank you. Well, I think that Representative Nadler's gone, but thank you for coming. Thank you for taking this fight. Thank you for having lunch, dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever it is while you're here. And I just have to say, yeah. And so for me, I was pregnant on 9/11 and my daughter was born 2 weeks later. And so, yeah, everything that Wendy said on spades, there's so much need, and there's so many people who just were committed to coming back because this was our home and we weren't going to be thrown out. And we did, as Richard said, as we believed our government when they said the air is safe to breathe, the water is safe to drink, and it wasn't. And we're sick. And the first responders and the responders that were on the pile, and then they brought home whatever they brought home to their families. It's a lot. So you got a lot of phone calls to make and a lot to carry on your shoulders. And this should be a no-brainer bipartisan thing, especially if it's been determined that it's going to create. It's not going to take money away. Exactly. Whatever you said, the way you said it was better than what I just said. But thank you.
Thank you, Justine.
Of course, Justine. You're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Trisha, and then Wendy.
Yes, Gil, thank you very much. I just wanted to, lots been said that I would have said. I'm also a cancer survivor. As you're hearing, as everybody goes around this room, there are so many of us that are sick that it's tragic. And I really, I have to say, Mariama's word disgusted really lets us know how we feel about the oversights that continue to happen in regards to this. The government did tell us it was safe, and we all came back. They gave incentives for people to come here. There is absolute 100% culpability here. And to put it to the side like it's some sort of optional budget item, I mean, they absolutely have the responsibility to make right on this. And I think this, and I thank you for putting this in front of them. And it's the absolute minimum. honestly, of what should be done here.
Exactly.
You know, the youth, we don't know anything about them at this point. And if they come back and say things like, why is it taking people so long to sign up? Well, I'll tell you my perspective very quickly. I have private insurance, and I knew how many people didn't. And I felt as though it would be taking something away from someone else. And I didn't understand what the program did. I didn't understand that it would help my family if I died. I didn't understand that the deductible on these scans, which is now enormous because my insurance has changed so much, as I'm sure everyone else's has, were taken care of. And this is the minimum that should be done here. And people, we are sick. And so, you know, I think you've now heard every corner of the arguments in favor of this. And I thank you so much for moving so quickly and developing something that I think should be a no-brainer. Let's hope it is.
Thank you, Tricia. Wendy?
Yes, echoing Tricia again, I just wanted to also say that, you know, in terms of other stories, you know, in addition to going to a park and then having people show up with hazmat suit, we also had our apartment cleaned, and then we failed the APA cleaning of our apartment. I was pregnant, and I felt an enormous gratitude towards what everyone is doing. So while pregnant, I went down and volunteered at the Marriott and served food to the first responders that were coming off the pile and coming in to get their lunch day after day. And I can't thank my employer, who at the time was Goldman Sachs, who allowed employees to go during lunch to feed the workers who were on the pile. So that was a, you know, it's just one of those things that it didn't even occur to me that I was putting my baby in harm's way, or my, you know,
Sure.
you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you can use stories to help, we're all happy to do it. And I will say, like Tricia, I have been very slow to respond because I have private, you know, insurance, and I kind of feel like I wanted other people who didn't have insurance to get covered. So I haven't been very aggressive in terms of filling out everything. So luckily, the community board is the one that's been educating me as to what I should be doing, and I've been a little slow. But so, and I think if I'm one of the most informed people in the neighborhood, then there's just so many more of us. So thank you.
Mhm. Of course. Thank you so much, Wendy. So appreciate that.
Lucian, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. I just wanted to say to Gil, you know, and also to Congressman Nadler, just thank you for everything, and wishing you all strength as you go into this long session. We go sometimes to 10:30 to 11, and that's nothing compared to what you all are doing. So just we're all thinking of you and the fight that you're doing in DC right now. So eat up and strength to you all.
Thank you so much, Lucian.
You're here.
I can't thank you all enough. This is so empowering. This is why we do it. This is why the senator does it. These stories are powerful. Your energy is tangible, and we're gonna ride that all the way to passage, folks.
I hope so, because there are people like me who, even though I have learned from my community board members, have enough PTSD that I can't get to it myself. So yeah, I get
Totally
it.
understand it. Totally understand it.
Thank you. And enjoy your dinner. We're gonna let you go.
Thank you so much, folks. Look out for more updates from me. You know where to find me. If you ask around, you'll find my phone number easy enough. Thanks so much.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
next we move on to welcoming for the final time as Assemblymember Yuleen New. So thank you, and welcome to Community Board 1, to our full board meeting.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. First and foremost, I really want to just say, and this is something that I think that just needs to be said, it's just I'm so moved and heartbroken and also inspired every single time I hear from you, Tammy, from Justine, from Wendy, Tricia, other survivors of 9/11. You know, because it's really something that I think people don't realize, you know, and I think really understanding the stories and fighting for families down here, you know, I heard so many people saying the same things, right? About how they didn't want to take away program dollars from anybody else. They didn't want to, you know, take something that other people could use or utilize because there wasn't enough. You know, we heard people saying those same things, you know, because this is a community that loves each other, you know, and you know, I just wanted to remind people, you know, how our government actually did a bad job at educating folks, translating, making things accessible for folks. And so you're all right. And these health benefits, these programs are owed to us down here in Lower Manhattan, period. And we have to continue to fight. So thank you so much for your advocacy. Thank you so much for bearing your heart, your pain, every single time that we're fighting. And I can't believe that we're still fighting, because it should be, you know, just not even something that we have to even continue to fight for. It should be something that the country already recognizes as something that we are owed. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank your persistence. I also want to mention, obviously, that we had some big news from last week. The governor actually signed into law our bill, A10414. This will extend SCREE and DREE, SCHE and DHE to Battery Park City residents, and will extend the master lease, which I think is really, really important for a lot of folks here. And obviously it does help a lot of folks who have become disabled because of 9/11 to be able to stay housed. So I think it's really, really important that we pass this bill. I'm really proud that we were able to get this passed, and that it will help Battery Park City residents be able to stay in their homes for years to come. And my staff mentioned last month that the governor unfortunately chose to veto my other bill, to mandate majority community representation on the Battery Park City Authority. I strongly disagree with the governor's decision and her rationale, because it was literally directly in conflict with Roosevelt Island's rationale. And I hope that you will continue to advocate for community representation in the years to come. I hope that this community will never stop fighting for representation, and will be relentless in and dogged in your fight to continue to make sure that you have equal representation, because representation does make a big difference when it comes to, you know, what our communities experience in our leadership. And so I need you to continue to fight. This is my last time speaking to all of you as your assembly member, and I wanted to say a few words about my time representing all of you. You know, we've been through so much together, and I just wanted to start by saying from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you to each one of you for the tireless and too often thankless work that you have to put in to make our city better, more just, more fair, more equitable, more representative. And I want to thank you for answering the call to public service, because I know that it's not easy, and giving your time and energy to ensure our communities have a real voice in the policymaking process. And what you do is incredibly important. Don't let the naysayers on Twitter or any of those folks saying, oh, community boards, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted you to know that it is so incredibly important, and you don't hear it enough. And like all of you, I feel a deep sense of obligation to my community. And I answered the call to public service 6 years ago when I decided to run for the New York State Assembly, you know, and much earlier as a staffer, and even earlier than that in government as a staffer and advocate for low-income folks. And, you know, for our community now, 6 years later, I'm looking to the future with a sense of pride in what we've achieved together. And I also have an unwavering sense of hope for what we can do, because I'm listening to all of you. And I think that if we continue to dedicate ourselves to the tough work of improving our communities, we will improve our communities. I went up to Albany to be a voice for the communities I serve. And together we showed that when real people unite, and when we use our voices, we can topple even the most entrenched pillars of power and corruption. And together, we will give more New Yorkers than ever a voice in our government. Together, we began the process of ending the culture of toxicity and impunity that was smothering Albany. People really know that down here. Together, we made real gains for our climate, for our marginalized communities, for folks in public housing. And if you'll indulge me, I'm just going to go through a few things that you actually helped to make possible. Some of the biggest pieces of legislation that I think we passed was on language access. You know, one of the biggest pieces of advocacy that folks here did was to talk about how after 9/11, there wasn't any language access from our government for our communities in Chinatown and the Lower East Side. And it's so important for folks here, you know, to have told their stories to help others to get access. The data disaggregation bill that we passed to make sure that people don't see, you know, Asian Americans as monolithic groups. The Child Survivors Act, who, you know, I heard from so many in our community, and folks know that I myself am a survivor of childhood sexual assault. The Adult Survivors Act, the crypto mining moratorium, the funding to fight API hate, the dedicated funding for our community groups in Chinatown and in other areas in Lower Manhattan that help to make sure that we're ending hate crimes, the state funding for our public housing, social service funding for our settlement houses, our naturally occurring retirement communities, a lot of our senior centers and our you know, early learning places, and our sexual harassment laws that were passed, the hotline that was my bill that was able to be signed into law this year, the sexual harassment working group efforts to make sure that we actually held Cuomo accountable. You know, we took down our governor when, you know, when things came out that he was a bully and a predator. You know, the stronger ethics laws that Albany was able to push for, you know, on itself, which is really important. The 100% Affordable 5 World Trade Center Coalition. I'm so proud of all of you fighting for making sure that we can have affordable housing here in Lower Manhattan. That is very much owed to us. And then also, of course, I'm so proud to have been able to extend and then extend again the 9/11 workers' compensation. You know, and I think that none of these victories would have been possible without your support, your passion, these big achievements that we won together, and almost always against a unified opposition of powerful interests dedicated to maintaining the status quo. But we know the status quo is not and has never been good enough. And it has never seen or heard or respected all of us. And together we demanded more and better. And we have shaped New York and our government in a way that's more inclusive, more tolerant, safer, and more responsive than it was 6 years ago. And so tomorrow is my last time going up to Albany, helping to get our legislature pay raise. And so I wanted to say thank you for continuing to fight alongside me. And I will also add that if you are around, I will be hosting a closing reception in my office on the evening of December 28th. So please feel free to drop by, and I will be honoring a whole bunch of community leaders. And if you are around, you're welcome to come by. So please RSVP with our office.
You don't think you're going without people talking to you, so just sit down, relax.
Okay.
You've got lots of hands up.
Okay.
And remember, for everybody who's still here, Councilmember Marte is here for Q&A. So don't forget Justine, and then Bruce, and then Wendy, and then Mariama.
I'm gonna be quick, Yulene. Thank you for everything. We love you, and you will be missed. Thank you for all you've done for us.
I love you so much, Justine.
I just want to say that not only will you be missed, Uline, but I expect to see you again in a public civic capacity. I'm sure there is a long future for you in that regard. You took lonely, just positions when other people were too cowardly to do so, and you stuck to it. And you speak the language of progressivism and liberation from the inside out, not from the outside in, because it's expedient. And I so appreciate all of that. And I wish you so well in the future. You're going to be missed here.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. I'll still be your neighbor.
I think it's Mariama and then Wendy and then Mariama. You two figure that.
Eileen, I was going to say the same thing, that I'm sure that we will be seeing you in the future in various capacities going forward. And Chris, I know you're still on the phone. I think I mentioned it earlier. I have attended 2 meetings where we've received HAT studies, and I am completely kind of blown away with how long that process is going to be. And I'm learning about how important something called non-federal partners are. That's an official term that we hear over and over again. And that means New Jersey, New York, the city, and lots of other people, and how there's going to be this need for money and funding and approvals and, all of these things going forward, so that we can have resiliency for the north side of Tribeca, hopefully completed, if everything goes perfectly, which is a shocking number, 2044, where my oldest daughter will be middle-aged, since she's a 2,000-year-old baby. I just wanted to say that. So thank you. And to everyone that works on these problems, these are long haul problems. You'll be around for these future discussions. Thank you.
Mariama?
Just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna miss you. I mean, I know you're gonna be around, but I'm gonna miss you. Thank you so much for being always like on the ground, day one. You weren't even in office when 9/11 happened. Like one of the very few people to nonetheless jump right in. Your office has always been engaged, always been involved. And that really cannot be said for not necessarily Community Board 1, but throughout Lower Manhattan. That cannot be said about all the officials. There are some that have still not done anything on 9/11 health, or now we're having the housing issue also. So how many of us are housing insecure? And I think that with 5 World Trade Center, people don't realize, they think we're just asking for something, they don't realize what it's born out of, and how ill people still are, how many friends and neighbors we've lost, even some community representatives and leaders have passed away, and they get nice stuff like parks and whatnot named after them, but we just keep moving as if it doesn't mean much. So I just really appreciate your leadership on it. Chris too said like the same thing, like he's another one that just jumped right in. I mean, he's been in office a year, not even, right? And he just jumped right in, and as if he's been here involved the whole 20 years. And that kind of leadership and dedication and commitment is, you can't buy it, and it's irreplaceable. So there'll never be another you. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
And
so-
being you.
Exactly. Mimi, I did see your hand up. It went back down. Hand up. Hand up. All right. The only thing I'm going to say, Eileen, is it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. You welcomed me with open arms as a chair. You welcomed me as a vice chair and helped me see some paths forward. For the last 6 years, you've been an incredible supporter of me as a public servant and of the community, and always accessible with your team and your staff. So thank you to everyone, like Lawrence, who was with us so often in the beginning, to Theo, who's been here now. Thank you to the entire team. It has been not always a pleasure for you taking all my calls, but and for listening to us, but it really is a labor of love to work for the city in any capacity and state, and we truly appreciate all the time that you put in here. So again, from Community Board 1, we look forward to seeing you in your next endeavors, and please don't be a stranger.
Thank you. It's been the honor of my life to serve you and all of the folks here, and it's been a privilege, and I want to thank you all for every single moment, and also especially my staff for just being the most incredible people. Everybody knows them because they're everywhere, and so it's been incredible, and they've told me to tell all of you that you will always have them to count on, and that obviously you will always have a friend and ally in me, and my door will always be open to all of you. Thank you so much for everything, and I hope you all have an amazing holiday, and hit me up at my holiday party. Bye everyone.
Thank you, Eileen. All right, so hands go up now for questions for Councilmember Marte, who's been incredibly patient to wait through the whole thing and listen to all of us. I know that there are lots of things going on in the district, and he's consistently still here. So hands up for anyone who has questions. We'll start with Vicky.
Hi, good evening. Chris, I think I read an email today that came in saying that Hochul managed to veto the helicopter bill. Could you explain that to me? I mean, like, I understand it's federal. We've been, suffering because of this for over a decade. It is the most abominable thing I could hear.
Yeah, honestly, it's quite ridiculous, especially since, it made it through both chambers. And, Brad Hoylman spoke about it yesterday at Community Board 2, and it was his bill. And he was also extremely disappointed, but he said he's going to continue fighting. And so at that time, he didn't know the specific reason why she vetoed it, but he said he was going to come back and give everyone an update. So I'll make sure to relay any information I get on that. And make sure that.
Right. I think I got a note. Yeah, I think I got a note from another community board saying that this was done because she decided that it wasn't in our purview. It's in the federal purview. Or use some nonsense like that. We as the community have to live with this. We don't care if it's God's purview. How dare she? Anyway, and all the hard work that you do and all of us, and now it's delayed a bit like this health plan. Unbelievable. Very disappointing. But of course you're here.
Delayed is not dead.
I'll probably be dead by the time this is done from craziness. But thank you, Chris, for everything you do, and happy holidays.
Yeah, and we thank you, Vicky, and happy holidays to you too. And we did have a hearing on helicopter noise at the council, I believe now 3 weeks ago, and definitely heard our frustration and anger. And I know there's a lot of momentum behind Lincoln Ressler's bill, which I'm a co-sponsor of, to do what we can to eliminate that practice in the city. There's also one hearing that I want to make sure everyone knows, because I don't think we'll have an opportunity to give you a heads up. Throughout Lower Manhattan, there's been a rampant amount of smoke shops that have been opening up. Many of them a lot of them sell illegal products, and they do so illegally, not only the products of what they're selling, but also how they're doing it, because they don't have permits and they don't have the right distance from a school, from playground. And so there will be a hearing January 24th. There's going to be 2 committees doing a joint hearing on it, a committee of oversight, and also consumer protection. So mark that on your calendar. I met with the Manhattan delegation today too. And all of us are in agreement that we're going to take really big actions in the new year to make sure that there is some accountability, that we can stop what we see every single day that's happening in our communities.
Chris, that's great news to hear, simply because I saw a brand new store opening this week. So it's somewhat untenable. And even more so, what you now have is even some of the licensed retailers and some newspaper stands and kiosks are just kind of jumping on the bandwagon. So it's rampantly a problem. I did want to ask if you had any updates on the open restaurant law and for the emergency orders, whether the mayor is going to extend those for meetings.
When it comes to outdoor dining, there isn't an update yet, which is good news. Everyone expected the legislation to be signed and voted on in late October, early November. There's a few members in the council that have been pushing back on the draft legislation that was presented to us. And so I think this delay is good, because probably the administration is continuing to work on hearing some of the things that we brought up. And I would like to give a shout out to Councilmember Botcher, who's been my partner in this, because both of our districts have over 1,000 outdoor dining sheds. And so so I'll give you an update if they try to bring it into the agenda in January. But as of right now, it won't be in the next stated meeting, which is January 19th. So, it won't happen anytime soon. And when it comes to the extension of, I'm not sure yet. I think he might have to, just because we are going through another peak. I saw numbers not just with COVID, but with flu is more people have accounted for getting the flu this year than more than the previous 5 years, possibly combined at this point. Typically, the peak is January 4th, and what we're experiencing now is bigger than any peak that we've experienced. And so I I'm hopeful that he's going to extend it, but he hasn't given us a signal yet. And typically, they wait till the last second to extend it. And so I'll give you an update on that if he does.
Many, many, many thanks. Do I have any other hands that are up? The last pitch I'm going to make is for dialogues that we are having about the borough-based jail. You are well with us on this conversation, and I highly appreciate it. I don't want it to be left unsaid at the end of the year with the reports of increasing numbers of arrests, increasing numbers of incarcerations. It does not change our position in Community Board 1 that we do not want a mega jail. And what is even more, I would say, disconcerting or concerning for us, knowing it's a design build, is we have heard nothing. So we couldn't tell you whether they had originally decided to lower the jail by 10 floors. And now they're coming back and reconsidering. We don't have any information, and it's kind of unconscionable as to that kind of part of the dialogue. And perhaps it might be, if that is the situation, time for a review about placements and including all boroughs for equal opportunity.
Thank you for that, Tammy. And I think also on the economic side, right? The mayor has sent us a budget modification yesterday where he wants to continue to slash almost every single agency across the board. While today we don't have the money to build the jail in Chinatown. I was talking to the commissioner of DDC, Tom Foley, who said even the price of aluminum is 30% higher now than it was when they made the projection of what this is going to cost. And so I think there's going to be a lot more action regarding this because the mayor can't move forward without talking to the council members or to the public about this.
Okay. And just so you know, breaking news, emergency order has been extended for 30 days.
There we go. Right on cue.
Right on cue for you. So thank you so much. For us, the implications mean that we will start our meetings off in the month of January as virtual and then move to hybrid for full board. So, but I'll reinforce that with everyone once we get exact dates and full information. Chris, we have a lot of stuff going on in Community Board 1. We totally appreciate your support. Resiliency and how and what things are done and the funding for it is important dialogues. And we look forward to reviewing all of those again in 2023 with you.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. And thank you, everyone. This year has been amazing to serve you, work with you, fight with you, rally with you. And I just wish everyone a happy holidays and you stay warm, stay safe, and just enjoy the break. Yeah, hopefully you have a break, but enjoy the time off. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. All righty. With that, I think that wraps up all of our electeds who are here at the moment. So I'm going to end the public session. We had a public hearing scheduled, but I do not see anyone signed up for the public hearing. I will need Lucian just to verify because my spreadsheet looks a little funky.
I can verify that.
All right, so with the public hearing has been now opened at 7:26 and closed at 7:26 due to no one signing up. And let's get rolling with the business of the board. So thank you very much. Lucian, let's get our slides up.
All right, on this, roll 'em out. Here we go.
Okay. Next slide. All right, next slide after that one. Okay, let's get a motion to adopt the November 2022 minutes.
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Wait, I didn't email, I have to email Lucy still, but I was only absent. I didn't look at the thing. I've been at the hospital all day with my mom, but I was only absent from exec last month, so I'll send a follow-up email.
Okay.
And I can second the motion.
I second.
Sounds good. This is, as always, a roll call. So welcome. This is attendance roll call. Mimi, take it away.
Hey, Emer's, so.
Absent today.
Got it. Blank,
Blank, yes, here.
thank you. Brown Kennedy,
Brown Kennedy, yes.
thank you. Cameron,
Cameron, yes.
thank you. Cassell,
Cassell, yes.
thank you. Colley, Colley. All right. Jang,
Jang, yes.
thank you. Chapman,
Chapman, yes.
thank you. Charcuterie,
Charcuterie, yes.
thank you. Cole,
Cole, yes.
thank you. Corman,
Norman, yes.
thank you. Pucha,
Puccia, yes.
thank you. Curtis,
Curtis, yes.
thank you. Airman,
Chairman, yes, with the proviso that I did attend last month's Landmarks Committee meeting.
excellent. Flores, Flynn, yes. Horsberg, Friedman,
Friedman, yes.
thank you. Broman,
Froman, yes.
thank you. Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
thank you. Goldstein,
Goldstein, yes.
thank you. Grant,
Grant, yes.
thank you. Gupta,
Excused.
okay. James,
James, yes.
thank you. Joyce,
Joyce, yes.
thank you. Ju, Andrea Ju, all right. Kay,
Okay, yes.
thank you. Cannell,
Cannell, yes.
thank you. Kettering,
Ketron, yes.
thank you. Copel,
Copel, yes.
thank you. Lerner,
Lerner, yes.
thank you. Lynn, Bernard Lynn, alrighty. Lyon,
Lyon, yes.
thank you. Mahoney, guess if he was here, he would be doing this job. McHugh, Megan McHugh. Alrighty. Meltzer,
Yes, laughing. Thank you.
Minsley,
Minsley, yes.
thank you. Moore, Pat Moore. Alrighty. Pandya,
Here.
how do you vote on last month's minutes?
I never saw them. Where are they?
They're in your email.
Okay, I'll look at them later. Just gone via email.
So
Okay.
You should abstain then.
she is, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were doing roll call like I'm here. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's voting and taking roll at the same time.
Okay, well,
Robin?
I'm here, but I have not read the note.
Okay, yeah.
So that would be she abstains, which still counts as her record of attendance. Thank you.
Robinson,
Robinson, yes.
thank you. Schneck,
Schneck, yes.
thank you. Star, Laura Star. Jimmy Song,
Jimmy Song, yes.
thank you. Vera Song,
Yes, I too was in attendance at last month's Landmarks meeting as well.
I actually couldn't hear you on that.
She said yes, and she was also at Landmarks last month as well for the records for attendance.
Got it. Cool, cool. Thank you. Townley,
Yes.
thank you. Z, Chao Z. Alrighty. You,
You votes yes.
thank you. Salter,
Zelter votes yes.
thank you. And, passes.
Awesome. So we've already done our updates from elected officials, so let's move right on to Lucian, District Manager's report.
Thank you, Tammy. Hi, I'm Lucian Reynolds. I'm the district manager of CB1. After all those legislative updates, this will be quite thin in comparison, but I'll try to keep it brief. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. December was a uncharacteristically busy month, and there was much to do in coordinating with our partners at the Office of Management and Budget for the City of New York and the Manhattan Borough President's Office to get Onez James, our new community associate, across the finish line and officially on the payroll with the city. Once she was in, there's lots of wrinkles to iron out with her email and some other tech issues with OTI. That's the new acronym for Do It, which is the agency that handles all of our telecom. But now I can happily say that all seems to be in order, and she has jumped right in with both feet. So welcome, Onez. I also met with the foresters from the Department of Parks and Recreation a couple of times this month, just to help them map out a nascent effort on their end to plant new street trees as part of the Manhattan Detention Complex points of agreement. So more to come for that down the line, but looks like we're going to be getting some new street trees as soon as we get into the next planting season. So that's something to be happy about. And with that, I will close my report. Thank you, Tammy.
I would also say that Lucian, chairs and committee members should expect emails because we'll do some shuffling around now that Onez is full time with us as to who's handling what committees for office representation. On that, let's hit my slides. And I'm going to go super fast. Okay, it's been a busy month. If you did not take the tour of the World Trade Center Performing Arts Center, please note that there is a January date available. Please reach out to the office. We'll connect you. It was outstanding for a hard hat tour. And there were lots of things happening in and about for the month. And I definitely think that in January, you should take that tour. No matter what you can, try and get on that tour. They're doing it for a variety of different groups. I've been twice. I heard slightly different information both times, so it was interesting. The Climate Coalition of Lower Manhattan for the transformation of the FiDi Seaport area is happening and plans are being made. And this is the time for everyone to speak up about everything because we are approaching 30% design. And then lastly, if you just quickly go down, I attended Pier 17, which was honoring Paul Povitz and a Hanukkah candle lighting. That's him and his family in Saul at the bottom. It's a beautiful permanent menorah that will be put on the north side of Pier 17. And so feel free as you walk by to visit it. It's lovely. Next slide. We also went to the Exonerated 5 reception. Thank you to take a look at this. Is part of the reception that was on the 18th. Next slide. The 19th. Thank you, Lucian, very much for taking the photos and going. But this is a very specific thing. I want to say that we work best when we work together. And all community boards passed a resolution about it, which brought it to borough board, which made something happen. And advocacy works when we all try and connect, much like the Bathroom Working Group is now doing. So retail tobacco licenses, lots of really good work being done. We're delighted to hear that. So I'm just going to say, if you see something, say something, call 311, file a complaint, take a picture. That's what it is. For those who were not at EPC, the Battery Wharf project, which is the permanent work for resiliency for the battery that's being done on the docks, is now delayed by 8 to 9 months by the National Park Service. They're having supply chain and other issues, which give us opportunities to have other discussions. Community board applications are open. And now we know that we have an extension on virtual meeting to get, please just look for an email update. I won't go into that now. We do have some fun stuff coming up in January, asking to really kick the year off well with CCLM, archaeological reports on 250, Educational Alliance coming to talk about programming for 5 World Trade. We are a board of 50 strong, plus the office, plus public members. If you think something should be on our committee agendas, please just email the committee chairs in the office. If it didn't get on for the month that you think it should have, don't worry, ask again. We're all human. Next slide. And on that note, most importantly, thank you everybody for your time and have a happy holidays. This is hopefully the shortest report that I will have to give. Enjoy. There's ice skating in Lower Manhattan on East and the West Side. Please get out and enjoy the city and enjoy our beautiful district. And with that, I close my chair report. Executive, let's get that resolution up. It was a really great resolution. It's a continuation of our advocacy work on what we think belongs on the island and what we think for the land use decisions and the zoning and everything that went through. So I hope you've had some time. I know the meeting was only yesterday, but we'll pull it up here. I'll take hands up for anybody who has any questions to start with. Whoop, there you go. You know, if you need me to pull it up. There we go. All righty. So this is a very long and detailed. We'll just kind of skip down. One of the things that we went back to, and thank you, Alice, for some of the work on that, is our original resolution and the comments that we made when we went through about the redevelopment for the community of Governor's Island from 2020. We took out excerpts that apply relevantly for this center. As you see, next page. And where the goals and the comments that we made during the 2020, for example, hotels and dormitories have uses, but we said we weren't looking for long-term extended stay. Some of the proposals had that. So it's very important for us to reiterate the positions that we have. Keep going. Adaptive reuse. We had long talks about really adaptive reuse of the historic district, but not destroying it, you know, keeping it with its intent. The land use principles that come straight from the other one. And the proposal that serves the public benefit. Alrighty. Open space, green space. Don't encroach on Picnic Point. Keep going. Keep going. That's all public space. And then we get to environmental and sustainability, which takes into ask them to consider anything that would be happening for LMCR as well as the HAT study. You know, least carbon impacts. Keep going. Large scale, not large scale. Open green space. Renewable energy. Waterborne and terrestrial life on the island, shade, all of the impacts as we go through. So everything is pretty much here that we've talked about before that was added with public comment that came to us through the several meetings and those that attended. And so are therefore be it resolves. You can just keep scrolling up. There you go to the last page. There we are. All right. Seeing no hands. Do I get a call?
Listen,
Awesome. Second.
Second.
Second, yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to go by affirmation. So Mimi, assuming that everybody's going to say yes, unless you need to, does anybody need to abstain?
Zelter abstain.
Are there any further abstentions? Hearing none, are there any noes? Are there any recusals?
Canal recused.
Canal recused. Any other recusals?
I think as I represent the board as best I understand, and I've spoken to Governor's Island about this, I do not have to recuse on this because I'm appointed by you to represent the community's interests, which I assume this resolution does. So I think I'm right on that. So I will continue
Perfect.
in that spot.
Hearing no others. Alice, thank you so much. We have one abstention, one recusal. Motion passes.
Here, here.
Here. 2023 for meetings. Cameras on, obviously. Virtual to start the month, and then look out for an email from the office. Alrighty.
Hey, Tammy, real quick question. Did anyone vote today or just now that did not vote for the minutes? Anyone here that didn't vote last vote? Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. So let's go back to the committees, and we're going to actually take, if I remember, back to the PowerPoint. I think I remember.
It was going to be Betty first and then
Betty, EPC, and then BPC, because that'll flow well with the amendments that are needed. So Betty,
Sorry, Tammy, really quick. Gerald, we didn't get your vote on the minutes from last month. Can you vote affirmatively for this?
Gerald Forsberg, we need you to unmute.
I need to hear your vote for the record.
Strangely, I see his mic opening. I just don't hear him.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be having trouble with audio.
Him. Yeah, I'll text him. He's probably having some problems. Hold on.
Oh, he can hear us because we see the mic open. Okay, Gerald, do me a favor, log yourself out, log yourself back in. And I will hold the vote open instead of fully closed so you can vote for the executive reso.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
I can, you're here. There you go. And video,
issues.
thank you.
And my vote for the meeting minutes is affirmative, yes.
And for the executive resolution as well.
Correct.
Thank you and welcome. All right,
Thank you.
we're gonna go Betty, and then environmental, and then Battery Park City.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, in transportation this month, we dealt with 3 different issues. First one I'm going to deal with really is the resolution, is the biggest one. But I want to make a point of, because this is where there was more confusion amongst the committee members who put a lot of thought into this. I'm waiting for it to stabilize. We go back to the first slide. Okay, this resolution is about CB1's position concerns regarding some of the suggested solutions. We are not voting about the plan itself. The plan, as put forward by the Borough President, Mark Levine, was for dealing with all the various needs of the 12 districts, and also is not completely inclusive. But for those, I do encourage people to go look at it online. It's a definite must read. We did use the framework of it. So there are 4 different goals that he proposes. And if you look at it, there are multiple potential solutions for each of those to meet those goals. So if you want to go on to the next slide, we'll look at. Next slide, please. Great. First of all, the problem. These are actually taken in Midtown, But the issue is really that the e-commerce, and it's just strictly limited to e-commerce, although obviously there's overlap with other kinds of deliveries. Also the problem of there are pickups as well as deliveries, but nevertheless, we could go back, it would be great. Okay, go forward. Now, just to show that it is in our district, this is actually taken on Chambers Street earlier this month. So the same thing. I don't know what that's something else. In Battery Park City, again, the same thing, taking up the streets. Next one. A different way of looking at it, FedEx right now is looking at using their trucks themselves as the distribution centers and then shipping out from there. Next. Because I wanted to point out, a lot of this is also in tremendous flux. And I saw this, and if you look at the tweet, it was just December 13th, so very recently. FedEx is in the process of trying a whole different way of doing it. And in fact, they're trialing it in Midtown. So it's not in our district at all yet anyway, but kind of interesting. And these things will all need to get their own resolutions if they come in and there are issues with them. So don't expect that from this resolution. Next slide. How did it turn red? Anyway, I apologize for that. If you want to go back to the original on screen, which I don't care to look at, but this should all be white print. I find the red
It may
very
have
difficult to read.
maybe you just copy and pasting it changed. I don't know.
Okay, well, yeah, that's.
Instead of changing the color, make the type larger.
Well, as I said, they made it smaller as well as a different color. Okay, so what the committee wanted to do was we looked at many things that are in flux. The programs are just starting as pilots and a lot of the details aren't even known yet. And I'm waiting for this to stabilize so people can see it. Anyway, this came with the wording of in principle. We as a board support these things. So they're not taken as givens because there are a lot of details we do not know yet. And they may require their own resolutions as we do get to know those details. So keep that in mind. But anyway, the things that seemed like good ideas to be looking into were reducing the congestion, the road safety issues, the air pollution, the greenhouse gas emissions, the package waste. You changed it on me again. Thank
Just
you.
keeping you on your toes, Betty. That's all. You're good.
I was going to say, why does everyone keep changing the slides?
It's just a compatibility issue between who's handling. So it's not on purpose. So sorry.
Okay, well, I'll read it off my copy, but I apologize to people who can't see it on the screen. Anyway, taking the delivery, sorting, and staging off of our streets and sidewalks, repurposing enclosed but not unenclosed accessory and commercial parking facilities that have the available capacity to add e-commerce fulfillment activities, increasing the use of electric cargo bikes versus delivery trucks for last mile deliveries, increasing the enforcement of and fines for illegal parking by delivery vehicles, making it illegal to park in any loading zone with a government-owned vehicle or a government-issued placard, which requires a change. And the process now is slow, but it is proposed to be looked at this year. Using marine vessels to make deliveries to Manhattan Community District 1. And there is a program in place right now by the DOT and EDC to do this, so we didn't just pull this out of the air. Hopefully we'll learn more about that in the future. And using electric marine vessels and electric last mile methods for freight that arrives or leaves our district via the waterway. Because again, that's a concern. Go to the next one. There are a couple of hands. Bruce, do you have a question specifically about this?
Well, I have a friendly amendment when the time comes. But we can finish the.
Let her get through the whole thing.
Yes,
please.
exactly.
Okay.
I just put my hand
Okay.
up. the future.
Be it further, okay.
He
So the
just
second,
wants the first shot.
okay. Be it further resolved that, and Manhattan Community Board 1 urges the City of New York Department of Transportation to ensure that our district's limited streetscape, which includes sidewalks, is allocated in a way that allows safe and accessible movement of all users, including pedestrians, especially if the number and width of cargo bikes making deliveries increases. This has been suggested. MCB1 urges the DOT to develop a more complete network of roads and bike lanes to safely accommodate cargo delivery bikes without displacing the growing number of cyclists and users of microtransportation that need protected space. If you've ever seen any of these on a bike lane, they take up the whole bike lane, and the bigger ones will take up more than the bike lane. Also, be it further resolved that the marine delivery plan for Pier 6, which has been proposed, or any other marine delivery location in Manhattan Community District 1 should not include moving cargo to or from areas outside of our district, which would increase the congestion, pollution, and raise the burden on our district. Fine, and the final one, be it further resolved that New York City should work with the owners of non-city-owned docks and piers to manage and contain any noise, pollution, congestion, or other negative quality of life or environmental consequences that could be produced if they accept marine deliveries. Because we do have to assume that they could be accepted anywhere along the waterways. Besides Pier 6, which has already been announced by the EDC.
Okay, Betty, you ready for questions? I think Bruce had one.
Hi, yeah, this is really excellent and comprehensive, but I have three individual resolution comments. If we could go back to the prior screen, I just want to, one is a friendly amendment, one is there. So I just want to say one of the disadvantages of having been on this board for 22 years is seeing what doesn't happen. And I just want to say that number 5, we've been placing that clause in various resolutions for 22 years, and it is wishful thinking, but you might as well put it down. Number 6, I would just change the language to, because it's confusing, making it illegal for a government-owned vehicle or a vehicle with a government-issued placard to park in any loading zone. That's much clearer. That's a friendly resolution. And if we go to the last page, I would just add that these are not enumerated, but where is it? Oh, the second one, the second clause. I just want to say that as our
Give me some
street,
content.
I'm sorry, DOT to develop a more complete network of roads and bike lanes.
Yes, okay. I got it.
Given the barriers within Manhattan of street width, which are pretty defined, curb to curb and then concrete and the built environment, if there are any more hieroglyphic uses of roadways of the same width as exists currently, I would just say this is wishful thinking. It's an impossibility. Major arteries like Fifth Avenue, like Lower Broadway, are now one lane for each purpose, which is total gridlock of each usage. So I don't quite understand what the development is that you're seeking. Those are my 3 comments. Thank you.
Okay, yes, well, if you looked at one of the whereases was about the cargo bikes that you see on Route 9A and in some other locations where they really don't belong. So they really do need, the DOT really needs to take a look at where the natural movement of these vehicles, these cargo bikes are going to be, and make a better plan for how they're going to be accommodated. Because right now they aren't.
And you know what, Bruce? There's no reason not to make pie in the sky asks. That's kind of, in 22 years, you have learned pie in the sky asks may not be right today, but in 5 years, we just still want to be on record and asking them.
Right.
Mariama's next, Betty.
I just want to say I agree with Bruce's language, the friendly amendment. Grammatically, it sounds better the way that he stated it. Thanks.
Okay, great. Eric? Eric, you?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I supported this resolution in Transportation Committee. I'd like to make a friendly amendment where commercial cargo bikes need to be licensed and be regulated. There was a slight mention of it at the last meeting, because especially if the width of these trailers will go to 4 feet, it's becoming the size of a car. I say that jokingly, it's the size of like a Fiat, but I'm sorry, they're getting larger and there needs to be some regulation of them. Yes, they're bicycles, but if it'll be used for commercial purposes, in this case delivery, they need to be licensed and to be regulated.
I'm going to give you the same answer I gave you in committee. At this time, since we do not have a bill and what it states, that really is an impossibility to add. For instance, when the last state legislation was passed about 36-inch cargo bikes, they specifically defined those vehicles as bikes, follow bicycle law in New York. And so that would exclude them from being licensed by the DMV. So to make a statement about something where we have no known knowledge of any legislation, this would not be an appropriate time for the community board to take, in my opinion at least, to take a stance. And that's why the committee didn't include it.
But however, I'm going to jump in here, Betty. I do think his point has a discussion merit. And we could, because this is not about necessarily registration and things like that. This is about the parking and delivery. I think that's a topic that we should take up in committee in 2023 as to a dialogue and conversation, because what is regulated, what is not regulated, right? If I hooked up a motorcycle to one of these cargo things, does that have to be registered? I mean, like, that's a good conversation that we can start to ask City Hall to create a framework or DOT for legislation and enforcement. I hear what you're saying, Eric. I think that it's a separate topic because we can go through all the modes of that and really have something a little bit more dynamic, and maybe have state come in or city and talk about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of these issues are going to get their own resolutions. They merit being discussed as their own resolutions. Just not here. Joseph Lerner.
Eric, I'm assuming your hand's going down and you're good, Joe Lerner?
Okay, look, we're supposed to think out of the box, and I give Eric a lot of credit for it. And I don't see why we can't do what he asked. To hold it over and have a special thing means we're actually going to bury it. And I think his friendly amendment is good, and I think it should be in our resolves.
Joe, it's going to go in a separate resolution asking for, because it's not only the cargo bikes, so we got to take a look at all of that, right? With so many competitive uses, we need to see what's unregulated and what's regulated and what the regulations are, and then opine on it. That's a separate topic, not related to getting them off the sidewalks in terms of setting up a framework for deliveries. So yes, we definitely want to talk about this. And yes, we definitely want to pass a resolution, but no, it's off topic to this resolution.
Supposing I agree with you, Tammy, when do you think this will come up as a resolution in our board? In 1 month, 2 months, 3 months?
I think it should be all three. I think we need to have people come in from state DOT and present what's registered, not registered, like have the Department of Motor Vehicles, give us the framework and for us to take a look at it and talk to the council member. So yeah, Q1 is a great opportunity. I definitely agree. Betty, you good with that?
I'm fine, but a lot of it is known, and the stuff that isn't known that Eric is alluding to, we're not going to have answers that quickly. Anything that's over 48 inches belongs in a lane of traffic. I'm talking bicycles here of any sort. Anything that is 36 inches or narrower is defined by state law as a bicycle and follows bicycle, not DMV regulations. So DMV has no jurisdiction over them.
It's okay. Let's take it into committee. Let's have a discussion in committee. Let's have a council member there and let's see whether or not
And a
legislation.
state representative.
Yeah.
I think Betty just knocks down things because there's certain standards right now. I look at it, how can we improve? And I think we had an amendment here that improves the situation, but I'll be okay if we start working on it next month.
Absolutely. I think next month is perfect. And
Call the
no fears,
question.
Joe, it's not going away. I second the call to question.
Then Tammy, you take over.
Awesome. So we're going to go by affirmation. So I will assume everyone's going to say yes. I'm going to call for abstentions. Hearing no abstentions.
What happened with Bruce's friendly amendment? Was that accepted or rejected?
That's a wording change and there is no such thing as a friendly amendment, but his was just a wording suggestion change.
And it was included.
Just for Mimi, this one is in the last column of the vote sheet. I added it there.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna just to catch everybody up. Mariama, you're good. So assuming everyone's a yes, if you are here and you were not here for either roll call or the last vote in exec, you must unmute and say your name and vote here. So again, hearing all yays, right? Are there any abstentions?
Sorry, Colin Mahoney, first vote of the night, votes yes.
Thank you, Colin. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. Hearing no abstentions, are there any noes? Hearing no noes, are there any recusals? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody. Whoop, whoop. Let's hope they're off our streets. Next, Betty.
They flipped the slides again. Okay, I just want to notify people the street co-naming application and the process. Hopefully we'll have the final review in January. So if you're very vested in it, you'll want to attend that meeting. And next, just an awareness. Oh, again, horrible for reading. The DOT car share, there is now a car share program that has been moved from a pilot to a permanent program. The car share provides on-demand short-term access to a shared fleet of vehicles through a membership or an hourly fee. Pilot program was launched in June of 2018, where they found that there were an average of 24 trips per space and 17 households per vehicle, which they saw as a success. Keep in mind the DOT has decided privately owned vehicles are their lowest priority for street and curb space. So this share is one step higher in priority, but way lower than bicycles or mass transit. The pilot was reviewed to be a success. The registered car share now has 3 organizations, Zipcar, Get Around, and TrueKit, who are working with the DOT. And the current proposal, the reason I bring this up as well, if you go to the next slide. We were given a letter about 5 different sites in our district that were set aside for spaces, 2 spaces in each location for these various car share. And found out these were actually very confusing ways of looking at it. They're a little misleading. So if you go to the next one, the DOT gave me a lot more information. Specifically, each of these locations, 2 in Tribeca, 3 in Battery Park City, are for 40 feet or approximately 2 spaces. They are on J Street by the northeast corner with Greenwich Street, on 2 spaces on Washington Street by the southeast corner with Vestry Street in Battery Park City. And what's misleading, they give you the closest address, but the next one is where I caught the problem, 22 River Terrace. We had a sign change there, so I was concerned and asked. And in fact, in reality, it's 2 spaces on River Terrace, but they're on the northeast corner with Warren Street, and the adjacent building is actually 400 Chambers Street. It's not anywhere near 22 River Terrace. Anyway, the one that's assigned to 10 River Terrace is actually 2 spaces on Murray Street on the southeast corner with River Terrace. And the last one in Battery Park City is by the closed Gristedes, and it's 2 spaces on South End Avenue by the southwest corner on West Thames. So everyone now knows, and the signs are not up yet, but you can anticipate you're going to see them in the future. And if you go to the next, what is the plan?
Hang on a second. The southwest corner of South End Avenue.
Where it meets West Thames, yes. It's in front of the closed Gristedes.
That's actually the northwest corner.
Yeah.
No, it's south.
Southwest. Where, so right in front of the front door of Gristedes.
Yes.
That's still the northwest corner, but
No, it's not. North is on the other side of the street.
Yeah, no, she's got it right. It's just
yes, it's confusing. You're right. You're right.
it's confusing because
I looked at maps. I understand the confusion.
I know where Gristedes is, so I know where the space is.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why it took clarification, because the way they presented it on the list is very misleading. This is where they actually are. When DOT was nice enough, they sent photos of the exact locations, so I could put together where they were. And anyone who wants to see more details in the pictures, you can always look online for the committee meeting. And if you go to the next one, the follow-up to this is yet to be announced, obviously. It's approximately going to be probably a year, because that's generally what DOT wants for their data collection. It's going to be to follow up to see how well these spaces are or are not used. So that's on my to-do list for the future, but anyway.
Eddie, can I ask a question? I have my hand up, or?
I'm going to call on people now.
Okay, no problem.
Then Mitch, then Jeff, if you still have a question. That's the order.
I'm personally going to be voting against this one because I think that
There's nothing to
takes
vote
away.
against.
Yeah,
We're not- this is-
there's no.
we didn't go
There's no
forward
vote.
with a resolution. Okay.
Yeah, they
So this
just
is an
did it.
announcement. That's why I'm announcing that there will be a pilot information, and at that point we can opine. At this point, they just notified us.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I appreciate your concern. Mitch?
Okay, yes, I just wanted to just ask you, I think we had discussed at the committee meeting, and everybody was for this in principle, but that the suggestions that some of us made was that since, I'm not sure if the rest of the board might be aware of it, but this is this program is for both public use and for like people, government workers that would be using placard cards. And so since government workers were using placard cards, a few of us on the committee were hoping to influence the program to take away the 2 spots on a street where the public can't park and have the, like, you know, for the placard spots be reserved. So for the few like metered spots that are good for the public, you know, would be still accessible. And we thought that was a win-win. So I was just wondering, at what point might we opine or give feelings about that, Betty?
In 1 year, we will look at the pilot data and make a decision. And your comments about the placards, we don't necessarily have any word that that is true.
I thought you had.
We'll wait for the year.
So once it's already done, then we're going to opine after they've already changed the signs on the
Once
public.
there's data, we can respond to the DOT. At this point, you're just responding to the fact that they've announced they're going to do it.
Well, wouldn't it be prudent to like maybe try to influence them to, because there was a few other board members that felt the same way that I did. But
thank you, Mitch.
I
Okay.
guess that's a no, like kind of like what Joe said.
Well, you're opining against something that we weren't asked for our input. And we have no real argument against it because we don't know what's going to happen either. Anyway, Jeff.
Just a clarifying question. So these zones or whatnot, they're not limited to particular vendors, or I mean, it's not going to be like one for Zipcar and another one for another vendor and another one for another vendor. It's any one of the three participants can use these slots. Is that your understanding of what the pilot would be?
I'm going to defer to Lucian on this one. Because he
Yeah,
spoke with
the
the
way
DOT
that this
mark.
is, well, this has been operating uptown for
Right.
a number of years, since at least 2019. And the way it works is that certain spots are held as permanent parking places for cars that are available for use. So people can take the car by the hour, the half hour, or the day, depending on the car. Some cars are not available for the day, some are only available for hourly, but the car will be returned back to the spot. And so it's reserved in that way. But it's not meant to be a set aside parking spot for a number of vehicles, only the vehicles that reside, kind of live there, and so people know where to find them.
But the description that Betty gave mentioned that there were three of these ride share.
There
or
are three
car share-
companies,
Yeah,
yes,
three.
but they'll have spots assigned to them. So
Well, my question is per company, or any of the three can use the spots that are set aside?
No, they're for set cars. And we have not been told, well, I haven't heard
Oh,
which
okay.
company will be assigned, will, for any of these
Yes,
5 locations.
that's right. We
Okay.
don't know
Good.
which
Good to see
assignments
all.
are company wise, but yes, of the 3 car sharing companies, there will be some mix of spots for them throughout the borough where this is expanding.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Eric,
Yeah, I just want to bring up some comments about from the meeting. Some of us had concerns that this would be taking away parking and reserving it for these companies. And when those cars are out being used by customers, no one else can park there. And we should have the city give back some space instead of just taking away parking. So yeah, I understand, Betty, this is just a pilot, but yeah, I just want to mention some of those points of concern that some of us had.
yes, and Tammy?
I'm definitely with Eric here on this one, because when you think about Battery Park City in particular, Battery Park City has the highest number of car ownership versus the entire rest of the community board. And it was built with cars in mind specifically. So the South far more than the North, obviously. I'm sort of torn because in a way it provides the ability for people who don't own a car to get a car. So that's actually very valuable to enable people who need one to get one without having, the burden of a dial 7 or Uber or Lyft if it's a more, longer term thing. So in a way, all of that's nice. In another way, one of the reasons that a lot of people, the parking garages are so ridiculously expensive, off the charts down here, that people park on the street. I mean, you see people practically fall asleep waiting for a parking spot. So I'm torn between these two. I mean, there's a public benefit to having other people be able to get a car when they need a car, but they're guaranteed a spot that nobody else is. And I don't think that, I've seen what Brooklyn does with residential permit parking. That's a public nightmare for anybody who doesn't live there. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I'm kind of with Eric. Like, I mean, I used to sit in my car waiting for spots to open up. It's damn well annoying.
That's why we're waiting a year to get some of the data to find out.
Okay.
How many people, because the data they looked at when the original pilot was to look at how many people who rented these cars gave up their own cars to do it. So they could see how many cars were removed from the road, period. How many families were sharing a particular vehicle. So get a better sense of usage. We don't know what it's going to be in Battery Park City or the Tribeca locations, but data report's going to be important.
You know what I think we should ask for as my final comment on this is, before the pilot program is over, an understanding of the data broken out by location. So what I wouldn't want to see is Oh, it was really successful because of this. I want to see the micro data that comes with it, and I think we might need to make that request early.
Yeah, no, I think we can. And like I said, I checked and the signs aren't up yet, near me at least. They're not up, so. Pass that on, and that's all I have to say for transportation. But now there are a whole bunch of hands and everybody's worried about their parking
Guess
space.
what? I'm actually going to say no hands because it's
Thank
not
you.
right yet. We're going to end this because we have many other committees. It's 8:17. We have environmental next, and then we have Battery Park City. And this topic will come back. It's not like it's a one and done. We just didn't get an option to ask for, so we can put it on an agenda in 2023 and ask for follow-up in under a year to have a midterm update so we can opine and do a resolution. Thanks, Betty.
Yeah, thank you.
Alice, you're next.
Okay, thanks. So there's a slide that goes with all this, and that's not it. But we had 3 topics. I saw the first one that was up on the slide that's about to come up is about resiliency principles. We don't have a resolution yet. We worked on this last month, or rather the month before, and had adopted the idea of using the city's guidelines on coastal flood protection, which are excellent, which we all thought were well worth following and adopting. And then we're sort of considering adding and editing that document somewhat. So that's what we're in the process of doing, which we'll review in either January or February when we have some more time. So that's the update there. So I guess in this order, so the United States Army Corps of Engineers HAT study, I'm sure you're all aware of. I know Wendy's mentioned that several times tonight. And we were very fortunate in having Bryce Weissmuller from the Army Corps come back to talk to us about how these plans actually affect us in Lower Manhattan. And if we can have the next slide. Those will be helpful because they do sort of summarize what is a vast project. So it was about a 45-minute conversation. All of this is on their website, which is extremely helpful for anyone who wants to look at the 5 alternatives that we've been discussing for the storm surge barrier ideas and coastal flooding protection measures that are being considered. And at this point, next slide. Well, so yeah, so Bryce began with a very important slide, which were the important things to note, which I really do want to underline here, which is the plan is very much preliminary and highly conceptual. And it's very, very important when reviewing it and looking at it to understand that. And there were no details, and the project is not yet approved or funded by Congress. There are indeed non-federal partners that consist of, so that's, you have the Army Corps, and then the non-federal partners are the New York Department of Environmental Conservation, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the City of New York, and the State of New York. And they are also involved in cost sharing. So it's a complex and immense project, as Wendy well pointed out. This is a project that will take a very long time, that has a start date of 2024, could go as long as 2044, when all of us will be long gone, potentially. So, you know, this is something that we all really need to look at very carefully. And I would encourage everyone, just as much as possible, to not only go to the Army Corps meetings, but many of the meetings that are currently taking place with many nonprofits looking at these plans. We prevailed in our last meeting to have the public comment period extended, not by much, but from January 7th to March 7th, which allows us to write our resolution on behalf of the community in full. So next slide. I'm just going to show you quickly. So the Army Corps has selected out of the 5 alternatives something called Alternative 3B, which is the TSP, the tentatively selected plan. And you can see that the red is the area that is not considered benefited by this plan, and the green is, and the blue are the coastal resiliency measures. So this is a project that is looking at combining both storm gates with coastal resiliency measures. It's priced, you see there, at approximately $52.7 billion and an estimated construction duration of 14 years. And for a lot of detail on this, you can see a 4,000 page document on their site, but there's plenty of summarizing that goes on that's actually quite helpful that I, again, encourage people to take a look at. Next slide. So so we asked again to look a little bit more at Lower Manhattan, which they did provide these very schematic plans. And you can see a little bit of the length of this that goes from basically Greenwich Village all the way around the tip. And this is a combination of coastal measures that consist of floodgates, flip-up barriers, elevated promenades, flood walls with park and seawalls. And each color represents a different aspect. Where, I mean, I don't know if I need to go over that, but you can dive into that. But you can see that this is very schematic and very little information was given beyond this. There's one more slide that we were provided, which is next. Right, so these are some of the features. So on the right, you see at Christopher Street, currently north from us, what these walls, flood walls might look like, right, during storm conditions and the rendering of the initial proposal. And needless to say, there are a lot of thoughts on this, a lot of concern. Where does it go? How big is it? How will this affect things? You know, how does this dovetail with so many of the other city plans? So there's a million questions that have yet to be answered, which we will certainly try to get more answers before we provide our comments. But one of the things that comes up is that this plan doesn't really address sea level rise, it's a storm surge, and you know how these coastal aspects are going to interface with the Army Corps' plans. You know, how does Battery Park City's plans going to coordinate with these plans? And this is really critical. And thankfully, the Army Corps is very aware of this and is beginning to work very closely with some of these agencies, or so they say. So this is sort of a piece of good news. And the next slide just describes the schedule. And this is obviously a very brief summary, but I think you get the idea. And so we're right now at the point where we're going to provide our comments. So this will be on March 7th. So we'll do this in February. And the agency will then decide in June 2023. And, you know, it's really all hands on deck, as Wendy rightly pointed out. It would be great to get more people involved, really reviewing this. It's very, very important. A lot of people are looking not just at this 3B, which is their preferred tentatively scheduled plan, but 3A has come up a lot because it's a plan that doesn't look at coastal measures. It only looks at storm gates. And there's lots of different conditions and considerations. There's lots of different opinions. We're going to have to be very patient with each other. And I really, really impress of everyone to try to do as much, try to self-educate here, because this is really, you really want to rely on experts in looking at this. So, you know, your opinion is one thing, but really try to base it in as much informed sort of review as you can. So anyway, that was the update. And I don't know if we want to entertain any questions on that quickly. I'm happy to.
Frances is the only one with her hand up. So
Yeah, just thank you, Alice, for your work in this area. It is certainly above my level. I just have a question. Was wondering, are there any other states or any other areas that are taking this amount of caution, project planning for like Massachusetts? Any place on the East Coast or the West Coast? Is there any place else that's looking?
It's a great question, and it's really timely that you're asking, because I was in touch with Amy Chester today from Rebuild by Design, who's very involved in reviewing this project. And she, in fact, as part of her work, was given some amount of money to set up meetings where we could glean a lot more information. And one of the things that she's looking at is an answer to that very question, which I cannot unfortunately answer. And I appreciate you thinking I have some expertise here, but I assure you I don't. But, you know, that will be something that will come up that I will share with the board when these meetings are. And yes, you know, there are examples.
Okay.
For example, I just learned there's a storm gate in, I think, Stamford, Connecticut or something, somewhere in Connecticut that I knew nothing about. So, you know, clearly there are things that we can look at and start to review as far as evaluating how successful were they and how this will impact us?
So, hey,
So it's a great question.
yeah, just to interrupt,
Yeah.
at the meeting that they had last week at the Museum of um, at the Smithsonian downtown, they actually mentioned that there are 8 other areas in the country that are under kind of this type of thing in terms of a regional approach. So we are absolutely not the only area that is going to be affected.
Right, right, good. I'm glad that they mentioned that. I was unfortunately unable to go to the meeting, so thanks, Wendy, for that update. Anybody else?
Colin has his hand up. He's next. And then we're going to end on Colin and move to the next topic.
Just super fast, to answer the question, Boston absolutely does have a plan in place, and they've already started construction in the lower harbor areas, which, part of lower downtown Boston is already under the water table. So yes, Francis, Boston is actually a little bit ahead of New York in this process.
Yeah, and very controversially, that's a good one to look at. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I think, Colin, you've closed that one out. Thank you. So more to come, needless to say. Okay, so then the last part of our meeting was looking at the Northwest Battery Park City resolution, which was very kindly provided by the city committee. Justine and Jeff and Lucian are the authors of that. But because we obviously at Environmental Protection could not both look at the Northwest Battery Park City plans as well as the Army Corps, we divided and conquered. And Tammy provided us an opportunity in Environmental Protection to add anything that we felt we wanted to add from the Battery Park Cities meeting. Some of us weren't able to attend, including yours truly. So we put together an amendment that we're hoping you will also say yes to for this resolution, which is the Environmental Protection Committee's amendment. I think you had it up a minute ago, which would be good just to show that, because it shows all the different amendments.
Stop. There you go.
Which you can, I think everyone was sent this, right, Lucian?
Yes.
There it is. Is that it? Yeah, there we go.
Justine, put your hand up, and remember, Justine, you're going to go next after this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so I
is
know.
so this
Just about this, I know.
Yeah, so just to review, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know that I have to read it out loud. You all can read this, I assume. The different additions that the Environmental Protection Committee was looking at, which nobody had problems with. So hopefully that will pass. But here to answer questions. So,
Alice, I just want
sorry.
to bring up slightly this coordination is the tricky part, because the is moving before the Fed. So, there are some things that in terms of coordinating and design and back and forth, we're writing this very boldly, and I think that that's okay. But, some of the things, some designs are not completed, so it's a design build. So I'm okay with leaving it bold in the language, but I think in terms of the understanding, I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Justine?
Thank you. So yeah,
Hold on, before Justine goes, let's get the amendments back up. For some reason,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
we're
want to look
jumping
at.
around here to see
went a little
Because
wonky.
there are actually a bunch of amendments according to the resolution that's actually there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's
Justine,
9
you don't have
actual
to count
changes.
it. We can scroll through it slowly. Everybody got it.
Okay, everybody got it. There's 9.
you-
Anyway, what I would like to do is make a suggestion. I have no real problem with any of them. They're all great. The one thing that I would say is that, and again, we're looking at this kind of backwards, because we did the Battery Park City Committee one first. But I think the first point, which says the draft environmental impact statement should include detailed designs with complete, legible, and accurate 3D representations of all alternatives, including the no action alternative. I think that should move.
Stop. Who's
okay?
Hold
I'm
on,
just
Justine.
talking.
I know. I'm just asking you to stop for a second so we can get.
Okay, I don't know why it's taking so long to find
presentation.
it.
I need them to go back to environmental protection and put up the amendments that Alice is reviewing and Justine is talking about, please. It's jumping all over. I don't know what's going on. Stop.
Okay, stop right there. It's the first one that I just read.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that that first sentence kind of be cut and paste and put into the whereas portion of the Battery Park City resolution, which you don't have in front of you right now, which is why I'm saying we're doing this backwards, because that portion references design. And part of the deal with the environmental impact statement, as I have been educated to understand, is that they're not going to be talking about design. And one thing that the Battery Park City Authority said was, we can't do this. So the answer is no, this will not be included in the DEIS. However, it will be included at a later date. So what I think we should
What
do.
I'm referring to here,
The first
Justine,
one.
is the alternatives for the alignment. So if you want to put in the designs of the alignment, so that's what we're looking for. I think it's critical, given what we've been through, as you know, in Wagner Park, is to make sure we see the alignment alternatives in the EIS as much as we can see. So it's not the detailed designs, of course, of the parks and of the actual designs, but of the where these alignments
yes.
are going and why. So I think that would be, I think
Or
that's
we
what we're
can change
asking.
it, 'cause-
That's what what I wrote there is what was in my mind there.
Okay.
So
'Cause
that's
I
what
also
that's
would
about.
agree that we want detailed designs with legible, blah, 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 3D representations. I think this sentence should go to the top. But then if you want to put in here someplace to make that note, because one thing that their DEIS did not do is include all 3 or 4 designs for each reach. When they presented to us, whenever it was, at their meeting, was just one design. And that was not
Right.
acceptable.
That's
So-
exactly why this is
yes.
here, right? If you want to put alignment designs, I don't think you need to,
Maybe,
but if
yeah,
you want to add
something
that,
to-
I have problems.
So somehow to qualify it, because one thing that they mentioned, and it resonates for me, is this is setting them up to fail because they're not going to give us detailed designs yet because they're not at the design page. So I think this sentence should move up to the top, and then we should word this to say
How about
exactly what you
this?
just said.
The DEIS should include complete, legible, and accurate 3D representation of all alignment
options,
alternatives,
including
Would
the
that
no
be-
action. Yeah, I think that's
Is that-
fair.
Is that, okay, so
Complete,
I'm
yeah,
fine
legible
with that.
alternatives and representation so we understand it. And I don't know if I would put 3D in there in the DEIS part, but if they can, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's critical, Justine, having,
To understand it, sure,
professionally
for me it
speaking,
is.
it's important.
Otherwise,
to
the
have
rest of this is
people
good.
But that's
can
what I
read.
brought up earlier is that, one of the things that they keep saying back to you is like they don't have the design. So I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that's
We've
logical.
made that change now to talk about alignment and not the design. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I think
anything
that
else
would
you
make
wanna-
sense. So
you
we're
want
making
to
it
say?
clear that they will actually do what we're asking them to do, or we're going to hold them accountable, and it's reasonable. So I think, but I also think we want the detailed designs in this sentence eventually, but maybe not yet. So we want both. And if that makes sense, I'm good with it. And then I'm putting my hand down.
Okay, so are we voting on this, Lucian and Tammy, as a sort of a block that's
No,
going to
no,
be?
this
Yeah.
is just so everyone is socialized with this amendment package that is been gone over by the EPC committee. But when you get to the Battery Park City committee presentation with Justine, someone will need to make a motion for the draft resolution to be amended with this package as discussed. And then the board will have to vote in that amendment package. And then you can vote on the amendment or vote on the resolution as amended.
Okay, and can I have one other thing just because we haven't finished it yet? But the last line of the last thing says, the DPO scope should confirm with proposed alternatives with fully meet the resiliency principles
Wendy,
set for
hang on.
city.
Wendy, there you go. Okay, now go because, yep, you need to,
Oh,
you
sorry.
need to ask, when we're doing something that's multi-page, in order for the public to understand, I need everybody who's asking or reading a statement to say on page 1 or page 2, so the public can catch up and follow with us.
I'm so
I
sorry.
also want to make clear that this series of amendments were reviewed in committee and were approved by the Environmental Protection Committee, just so we all are on the same page. Members may now be changing their mind, but that was where we left it. So
But
you're welcome to change your mind, Wendy.
But what I
bring
wanted to
something
say,
up.
the last thing that we just said that we didn't do is the CB1 resiliency principles. You just announced that we hadn't completed that we tabled that till next month. I just wanted to strike what we haven't actually written yet from this document.
Right.
I'm not saying
Right.
we don't want to
So
add
we'll
it,
leave
but
it at
we
the
don't-
guidelines. That's a good.
Correct.
Good.
Thank you.
Good edit. Thank you.
Bruce? Oh, Lord, Bruce. You're
Okay,
so-
chipmunk time.
Bruce, you sound like a chipmunk. I'm sorry for laughing. Please try again. Bruce, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted, Bruce.
Okay. Bruce, I am sorry to say that you sound like a little bit like a very quiet chipmunk tonight. So I could hear you before. Do you mind logging off and logging back on? And if we move forward to Battery Park City, which is next, we can include your conversation on this amendment in that committee. Okay? Nod if you think that's okay. I'll take that as a nod, a slight nod. All right, Alice.
I'm done with my presentation. I wish you all a really happy holiday and thank you. And okay, you're on, I think, Wendy, right? I'm not Wendy, I'm sorry. Justine.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Yeah. And
So
thank
let's
you,
go to
Wendy,
me.
for-
And so we don't vote on this right now. We're going to vote on the whole package. Is that right?
We're going to vote to include the amendment.
Okay. Into the whole
Somebody
thing.
has a motion, make a motion to include the amendment, and then we vote for the whole thing together.
I motion to include the amendment. Is that what you want us to do?
I second it.
Yes, good.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So with that, let's pull up the actual 10-page resolution.
And
Please.
first, let's vote on the amendment.
Yeah, we have to.
Oh.
Yeah, there has to be a vote on the amendment, but you can do acclamation.
Absentee, yeah,
first.
we'll do the affirmation. Anybody, I'm going to assume everybody is a yes. So my first,
Justine.
so you got it? Go ahead.
Let us,
But,
let us
and
make sure this is recorded, everyone. Please,
correct.
just one moment.
So everybody's cameras need to be on. Do not forget, please. Alrighty. So not hearing, let me just do a camera check. I know this sounds like a ridiculous thing. All right, cameras on, peeps. Eric, thank you. Let's see if I'm missing anybody else.
Ready.
Jason, I need your camera on. Jimmy, I need your camera on. And Trisha. In order to be counted, your cameras must be on. Trisha and Jason, you're last for cameras, please. Oops, Andrew Zelter, you fell off. I see Jason's trying
So
to log
Jason, I
back.
moved you over. You can turn your camera on now.
Okay. And Trisha? Need a camera on for Trisha. Alrighty. So with this, we'll assume everyone's a yes. Do I hear any no's? Do I hear any abstentions? Hearing no abstentions, hearing no no's, do I hear any recusals? Hearing none, amendment passes to be added to the Battery Park City Bill resolution. Now, Justine, take it away for the resolution.
Thank you so much. All right. So now we're at the 10-page resolution, and I'm going to assume everybody has read it because we're not going to go through it one by one. The changes that we're making here after what we agreed to is we're going to move the first sentence from the Environmental Protection Committee up into a whereas, so that will be one addition, someplace in here, wherever it fits, Lucian. But just saying we want detailed designs. After you mention it, we're talking about designs. We want to add detailed designs. And then we're going to just reword this to talk about alignments at the bottom. With that, I am happy with asking, I'm going to make these couple of notes and then I'm going to just call the question or ask if anybody has any questions before I call the question. The biggest thing that we noted in our committee were about 3 or 4 main issues. Number one was the playground. Where the alignment was going to be, was it going to be preserving the playground that they just spent a year plus God knows how much money redoing the Rockefeller Park playground? That was number one. Number two, the duck pond or the lily pond. We would like to have the duck pond and lily pond preserved if at all possible. Okay, these are design questions, but we did talk about them when we put them in here. Number 3 was the ferry terminal, big one, the ferry terminal. We don't want it moved north. We've actually gotten some comments in from the River Terrace building that came in that we can make part of what we're going to present it as part of the record, or they're going to present it as feedback. We want that to be considered. And then the 4th thing was Esplanade Plaza, because when it was presented in the not detailed design pictures that were presented at one point, they had the plaza covered where the volleyball courts are in that area. It was covered with trees and grass. And we said, no. That is not, we want the preservation of the uses that are there now. And we want to have the options in place to have those uses preserved. So those were all different things to look at. And a very important factor that was added, and I believe it's in here, and then it was also addressed and discussed, was what are the impacts of the resiliency measures in terms of a wall? If we don't want it at the water's edge, that's a pretty given. If we're putting it at the buildings, what is that going to do to the quality of life and the views of the people who are living in those buildings? Because remember, we're coming all along, we're coming in the South Battery Park City, we're coming all along the Esplanade, and buildings are on the Esplanade. So you've got from Gateway Plaza down to West 10th Street and farther south, where you've got buildings there. So that's got to be taken into account. And we're also asking the DEIS statement to take into account the effects on diversity and inclusion and the impacts on businesses, the impacts on visitors as well as residents and residential life and all these different things. It seems like everything is addressed in here, and I am going to stop there because I think it's pretty much in there. If anybody has any questions, help me look, because I'm seeing,
Hang on.
okay, I see Wendy, and let's keep looking to see who else. And I'll call you first, Wendy.
But Wendy goes, I got the calls for you because I
good.
can see more
You can see
easily.
everybody. Perfect. Thank you.
Wendy.
Wendy, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Justine, I just wanted to it's more of a comment. Just the dialogue at that meeting from the community was very helpful and really great, and we had wonderful participation. And I just wanted to say these things are very difficult to. Whatever's coming, we're going to be unhappy. This is going to be very, very hard to do. And I just wanted to ask the community to stay engaged, because I do think that Lower Manhattan is worth protecting, and it's just not going to be very easy. So thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And actually, you're bringing me to something else I wanted to say, which was I really appreciated the Battery Park City Authority and their partners they brought to the meeting, because I am now spacing on the gentleman's name, but he sat there for the 4 hours and he answered every question that was put to him.
Mr. Glues.
Mr. Yes, thank you. Yes, he was amazing. And he was amazing, and it was a really robust dialogue.
Exactly. So let's keep going.
Yeah, anybody else?
Right. I see no other hands, although I do want to give deference to Bruce, who is having speaker issues. If Bruce can unmute himself this time and try again.
Chipmunk. Bruce, it's funny. It's very low, and I cannot even. I would put up with the chipmunk if I could understand what you were saying.
I think Bruce is gonna need flashcards.
Flashcards, yes, I know. It's funny.
Sorry, Bruce.
No.
Hey, wait, Bruce, do you have headphones? Can you
Take
plug
your
headphones in?
Yeah, try the headphones. Because we can't hear you.
Battery's probably dead.
I think he's saying
He's done, maybe. Yeah.
called
think you're right,
question
Jeff.
subject.
There's a way to call in with your telephone.
But yeah, if somebody wants to, I would call the question if anybody wants to
Seconded.
second it.
Okay.
So let's do the vote. Tammy, you want to do the vote?
I got it. I gotcha. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So question has been called. Question has been seconded. So all votes will be considered yes, unless called out otherwise.
It's
If
not
you,
last resolution. Oh, it's not a last resolution.
No.
that we
No,
have
sadly,
more
it's
for
not.
licensing, but don't worry, we're cruising. All right. So with that in mind, do I hear any no's? Do I hear any abstentions? Hearing no abstentions, do I hear any recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody on the board. This was a lot of work to do, a lot of engagement on many committees. Great job. All right, let's move to the next committee. And I swear I'm so sorry to the office because I've driven them crazy by going all over the place today. So licensing is our last one of the night. Everyone should know that because you got to be here for the last vote. Go Street Fair Task Force. Daron, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Daron Charkfoudi, and chair of the Street Fair Task Force, and we met back on Tuesday, December 6th, and we got an update from our Street Fair's promoter, Joe Giovanni, as well as we're going to pass our two regular annual resolutions tonight. First, on the updates in 2022 events and looking ahead to 2023. Joe remarked that it was a down year compared to years prior to 2020. Most of this is because only about 50% of the vendors have returned to their street fair activity. So that's a lot of the reasons why the activity was down compared to prior to 2020. Now, this year we had the regular several multi-block and single block street fairs, as well as two events at Bowling Green, brought in about $7,000 for CB1. This year was the first year of the Zuccotti Park Holiday Market. I encourage those of you who haven't been there yet to definitely walk through it. I went there the other day. It was north side of the street, very nice. You can pick up something. There's a few food stands there and some other art and other items for sale. That brought in $10,500 into CB1 for a total of $17,500. Now it looks like that we can have the same a number, both a holiday market and the same number of street fairs in 23. And if we get more vendors, that's going to result in more money for CB1. We couldn't get an exact number, but it could be 30 to 50% higher than the 17.5K we brought in this time. Before we vote on the resolutions, were there any questions or comments on the 2022 results? If there are none, we can move ahead. There's renewal of the Street Fair Task Force. This is an annual resolution renewing the Street Fair Task Force for the calendar year 2023. The second one is renewing Mardi Gras Productions for being the promoter also for 2023. I'm happy to take these both together, unless there are some questions or concerns.
I don't see any hands up, calling for hands up. Seeing none, I'm in agreement. Let's take them together.
Okay.
Do I call the question?
Calling the question.
I'm going to second that. Assuming again, like all other, we're going to say.
Any opposed, recusals, or abstentions?
And is anyone here who was not here before? Okay.
All right, in the last bit of business, we're going to try to have a couple of meetings next year. One mid-year, probably right before our summer break. We can get make a mid-year update from Joe at that time, because it's likely, if things go as planned and things continue to return to normal, our first street fairs will occur in May. So by the end of July or mid to late July, we'll have had a few events by then. We can get an idea of what the type of revenue that brought in, and then we'll have another one probably in Q4 to wrap up the year and have our annual extensions of these resolutions here. So with that, I'm happy to pass it back to the chair.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great job. Moving on to the next committee. Joel, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right, we've got two committees that have reports: Waterfront, Parks and Cultural, and then Quality of Life. Paul?
Okay. We had a presentation. The first item was from Hudson River Park. We spent most of the night with them discussing the estuarium project. For those who are not familiar, the estuarium has been a proposal kicking around, strongly supported by this community board for literally decades. It's basically calls for, at the foot of Pier 26, a combined education programs, a wet lab, research facility, classrooms, science exhibits, and tanks. So it's basically an effort to inform people of all ages about the aquatic life that's going on in the Hudson River. So the very positive news that we heard at the meeting was that they now have gone forward and put together what looked like a very impressive team of architects to design this facility. So they are starting work on it. We heard from several of these architects. They have excellent experience. They seem to understand what we're interested in, and they did make commitments, by the way, to consult with the community board on a regular basis about this. So basically, they do have, the total budget for this project is roughly $30 million. They have about half of that raised. So that's going to go obviously towards the design work. And their hope, that is Hudson River Park, is that once they have a design, they will have more success in raising the balance of the budget. So again, it's a $30 million budget. They have half of it. The design work in and of itself will take roughly a year and a half. So you will hear more about this as time continues, and the estuarium, once built, will be a year-round facility. Just very quickly, one other mention of Hudson River Park is that they did have the groundbreaking for the site right adjacent to where the estuarium is scheduled for the science play area. So that is underway, and they're telling the community that they hope to complete construction by the end of '23. The second item is the Elizabeth Jennings Graham Monument. So Elizabeth Jennings Graham was an African-American woman who in 1853 was riding a New York City streetcar when she was tossed off it by the conductor. And basically they had segregation in those days, and she was apparently not supposed to be on the streetcar during the hours that she was. She subsequently sued and put together a case against the city, which resulted in the city doing away with these types of discriminatory treatment of customers on mass transit. So she obviously, as some people say was the what's the name of that woman from the South? Rosa Parks of Lower Manhattan. Thank you. So basically, the group that's sponsoring this, the Harlem Historical Society, a couple of their reps came forward with several specific sites along the route of this streetcar. So a few of them were in the Red Brick Plaza area behind the municipal building, also known as either Police Plaza or St. Andrews Plaza. And then there was a site also in what's called Wedding Garden Triangle, which is a planted area in front of the state courthouse. So in any event, what the committee decided to do was to take and consider those specific sites and have follow-up meeting and discussion on it. So I do invite anyone who has an interest in this project to come to our January meeting when we expect to take it up again and hopefully put in some recommendations and gather some information about which agencies have jurisdiction and need to approve any of the sites that have been put forward.
Thank you
And I
very
think I'll
much.
leave it at that.
Awesome, thank you. Next committee. It's reports, and remember Francis is holding down our licensing for us as the take us home person. So, oopsie, yep, get through that.
Okay, we had our DDC
Hold on.
and street, what?
You're gonna go Mariama and then Patrick. I almost skipped Patrick, sorry. So you'll go first, quality of life, or you can let Patrick go. He's got one thing. He'll be like really fast.
So yeah, you can go. Patrick, you can go.
All right, stop. Go back. You had it right. You had it right, Patrick.
Okay.
Keep going. Sorry. Awesome. Almost there.
Sorry, I'm trying.
It's okay. You're almost there. Keep going. Up to Patrick. Stop. There you go. Awesome. Patrick, take us home.
Very quickly, we had a preview of what will be 3 upcoming citywide zoning text amendments for 2023 and early 2024, all related to the Mayor's City of Yes initiatives. These will be using zoning. They have initiatives around economic recovery, expanding housing, and accelerating the city's commitment toward becoming carbon neutral. So first up will be in the spring of 2023, an application will be certified by the Department of City Planning. We'll review it, our normal course, like any other land use application. This is the carbon neutral piece of it all. The goal is that they'll reduce by 80% carbon emissions by 80% by 2050. And there's various different zoning fixes that they're going to touch on, including building retrofits, how to handle electric cars, supporting energy storage, and the like. So it was just a preview meeting, but we'll get more information, and we can expect this to start certifying in the spring of 2023. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Mariama, you are next for quality of life.
I'm trying to remember if it's forward or backwards.
And Mariama has to remember she's muted.
Sorry. We started out with our DDC street reconstruction discussion that we have every other month. And they talked about ongoing projects at Fulton Street, Greenwich Street, West Broadway, VC Street, and an upcoming one on Nassau Street. Now, there's actually already an ongoing project on Nassau Street that I think was mentioned briefly as well. And of all of these, that is probably the only one, well, maybe in addition to Greenwich, that has caused any kind of like congestion or backups. Like all the streets remain open. Greenwich is down to like one lane in that area where they're doing the street work, and it stops. So it no longer goes all the way down to Park Place, at least temporarily. But other than that, you know, it's functional. People can still drive through there. And the same thing is with Nassau. So Nassau has been backing up on, I guess that would be the corner of Spruce in Nassau with the work that's been going on, but the street is still open and you can still use Nassau Street. And I understood that all that was going to continue. What we did wonder might warrant further discussion was that in front of some of the buildings, they have a more decorative concrete tile than some other buildings. And it didn't appear as if there had really been any like public hearings or discussion as to whether or not anybody might want to maintain those. At the same time, nobody has objected to them being taken away, and they are being replaced with like the standard area. There's a Lower Manhattan standard tile apparently that DOT uses, and they're being replaced with that. Streets that are cobblestone are being repaired, but will remain as cobblestone streets, except for in the crosswalks where they're being covered with something that is better for strollers and wheelchairs and bicycles and things of that nature. Then we moved into the jail, and that was a much larger discussion as always. There was some updates. So previously, the office that they had was like sort of unwelcoming, wild glass. There was no doorbell, and the person's back was like to the public, and it didn't look like they wanted anybody in there. So they've made some changes. They've added the doorbell. They've like opened it up so that it looks like you can, go ahead and knock on the door and speak to somebody if you need help. The community had a number of complaints with regard to potential like toxins, environmental issues, noise and things. So we decided that we would like to approach Alice's committee and then have Pat and Alice approach Tammy with requests that those further discussions be brought up next month at exec. I think that's it. Is that it? I think so.
Sounds good. You've got Eric Yu with his hand up. Eric?
Okay. Yes. Eric?
Yeah, pardon. It was originally for Patrick, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So I don't have anybody, right? Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Patrick, I just wanted to know with that carbon that proposal, does that also include not having natural gas in these new buildings? Is that part
I don't know.
of it?
I don't know. We didn't get into that detail of it. I don't think so. This was around zoning tweaks as they were trying to cast it to make bigger sort of initiatives possible. For example, they showed us an example of zoning on the tops of roofs, for example, where you're only allowed to use a certain percentage of the rooftop to put up solar panels. Well, if they change the zoning, then they'll have the ability to put up, to use a little bit more of that roof space while still trying to, be in keeping with landmarks laws and other things that make the city beautiful, so that you can have more solar panels. But no, I'm sorry, they didn't touch on that. And we can ask that in future meetings though.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I have one more very quick thing too. Also in the street work, they're finding that they're uncovering, I don't know how I forgot this after Paul, they're uncovering like train tracks or trolley tracks or streetcar tracks or whatever. Nothing significant yet where they, feel that it would mean anything to anybody. But I did ask that if they do come across any, larger portions of it, that they contact the board before they give anybody else dibs, because in consideration of Ms. Jennings, it probably those things would probably belong down here, either in maybe like the African Burial Ground Museum or something like that. So that was the last piece.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mariama. And our next committee is, did I forget anybody? Waterfront Parks, Transpo. Quality of life, we did. Street fair, we did. Licensing, we are on our last committee. Susan Cole is not here this evening. Francis Curtis, you are the last call for the night. It is 9.
She's here, but she wasn't at the meeting.
Susan, you are here. I thought you weren't here. Hello,
No,
Susan.
but Francis is presenting because I wasn't at the meeting.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm delighted that you're here. Nice to see you, Susan. Okay, Francis, take us away. You are our last committee of the night.
Lucky me. So Pier 15, which is the watermark, that's our first resolution. And the committee voted to approve the request for alterations to move their bar back and add some additional seats on the pier. But during the discussion, some old issues came up as far as the bathroom was concerned. And what was presented to the committee at the time was that there was were different options for bathroom use, and the committee was okay with it in terms of the use of the public bathrooms that are on South Street, and that the applicant was going to they were going to be open, and the applicant is going to monitor the use, and that there are other bathrooms on Pier 15 which they are used on a regular basis, and they were going to keep them open as well. And the committee was a little unclear, but okay with what was presented. And there were other issues. Somebody brought up the issue of the sound coming off for the boats that are on the water, that they have a problem with the level of sound that comes off the pier, and they're being able to navigate their instruments and stuff. So the applicant agreed to look into that and modify it. And that was the first time that the issue of the sound had come up. But the issue of the bathroom had come up years ago when they first applied for a liquor license, and because of the way it was set up, it was approved. And they're back again because they want to increase their seating capacity, but apparently there's still some issues as far as the bathroom goes. But this is what the committee, heard and discussed, and at this point they were okay with what they heard. So I don't know.
Okay, ready to call the question?
I am.
I see. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure there's.
I see two hands. We're going to go Joe and then Betty.
Two questions. Are they taking up any public space where they're moving the chairs around?
It doesn't look like it. They're just moving some chairs. They're just reorganizing their space.
Well,
they're doing more than that. They're taking the bar from inside and putting it outside.
When you're dealing with those people, you have to be very careful. They take a yard when you give them an inch. So yeah. I would like an answer whether they're taking any public space.
Joe,
I can't answer that.
They did present, it is the space that they had. They had just seating out there beforehand that was associated with the bar that was servicing from inside, and now they're putting a bar outside servicing the seating that they have.
All right. Second thing about bathrooms. Are we talking about the bathroom that's on the bottom level where that office is?
Yes.
Well, in the good weather, there are huge lines.
I know.
Waiting to, well, what So I don't know what they're doing about bathroom space. Are they leaving it alone, increasing it, or decreasing it?
They do,
They're leaving it alone and they're using public space.
For what?
those bathrooms are owned by the Parks Department,
Right.
so they are not eligible to change them. They are just managing them. They will be cleaning and providing toilet paper and all the rest of it.
So, but you
Plus, that was supposed to come with that is that the Parks Department closes the bathroom at 6 p.m. However, this establishment will allow the bathrooms to be open and in use for all of the hours that they are open and in use. So it's increased opportunity to use the bathroom.
that's at the ground floor level, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's right underneath the it's
Right
on
by
South
the
Street.
office, whatever their corporate
No,
name is.
those two bathrooms they will have, but then the other space is the ones that are underneath South Street, that are on South Street. That's additional bathrooms.
I'm not clear on it, but I'll pass.
Thank you, Joe. Betty Kay is next, then Susan, Justine, and Alice. And let's keep it to 1 minute a person, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm very upset, and I don't know if it's because it's not correctly written or it needs to be, or if really the situation is as bad as I think it is. For instance, for sound, it says closely monitor for DJ and recorded background music from the 8 speakers. It mentions nothing about volume. It mentions nothing about any kind of measurement. So there is no cap whatsoever on the noise that could be made by these people within the agreement as stated in this resolution. In a second problem, so there's no capping. I see that as a real problem since their hours are until 2 a.m. They also have the bathrooms really disturb me, being with the bathroom working group. One, they are public. They currently close at 4 p.m. So I was unable, Pat Moore and I went to look at them. I was unable to get in because they were already locked. But nevertheless, I couldn't tell, is there an accessible bathroom? That's also not in this resolution to be addressed, but it would really need to be. If there is nothing that they can do because the parks own them, they need to address that issue. Because what are they going to do with those potential clients that come to their business? What are they going to do when the others are already overloaded? You're expanding hours, but there's no mention of the capacity or the current overuse, which is very troubling. You talk about having security. Is security going to guard people going to and from the bathrooms?
Friendly amendments, not just commentary. Suggestions or friendly amendments, please.
We'll need information. I would suggest they delay this and get some information because it's just not answered.
I think I can answer a couple of them. So as far as the level of the music, background is the unit of measure here. We use that pretty standard in the licensing committee, that if it's background, it can only be heard by the people who are using it and it shouldn't amplify out. That's the, I mean, we could spell it out further, but that there is a unit of measure. As far as the
waterfront
bathrooms,
people are complaining though.
the people are complaining.
This was the first, and this
People are
was the first
complaining,
time
but it's
that was
not
ever
coming
brought up.
outside and there's nothing that they can do.
Okay,
You know,
Mitch.
they just have to tolerate it or leave the seaport. As far as the bathrooms, we did agree to have it in here. So if it's not, then that's a mistake because we talked at length about it being explicit that people were going to be able to use the bathrooms throughout the time, the duration that the restaurant was open. And so that was going to be an additional benefit. The caveat is that you have to go through their entrance because the regular Parks Department entrance will be closed at 6 p.m. And so if you want to use the bathroom, you'll have to go through the restaurant's access, but they will not turn anybody away. If whether you're a patron or not, they will allow you to use the bathroom. And we agreed to put all of that in the resolution. So I don't know if that satisfies your inquiry or not.
Well, they definitely need to be added because it's certainly not there now. And as
Okay.
far as the accessibility, that also I need that answered.
The bathrooms that are there on the pier are accessible.
They're wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they say, Betty. Whether
Well, I was gonna
whether
say, I've
you
been to some
agree or
others
not,
that say,
that's
but
what
they're
they
not.
say. And there they put in, the applicant indicated that patrons will have access to public bathrooms when closed at 6 p.m. In addition, patrons and the public will have free access, as Mariama said.
365 days a year?
When they're open,
but-
Betty, if they're open.
Whatever days they're open,
365 days,
whatever
you
days
can.
and times they're open.
Right, well, those things all need to be put into the resolution because there's none of those details.
Well, wait a minute.
It is there.
It's only when they're open, and I mean, this is what this is. In fact, it's based on the licensing. We don't do that for I don't say for every day you're open. That's what is expected. They're accountable for that. And I think that says, if you want it in stronger language, give us some stronger language and we'll look at it. But I think it's pretty clear. So, and Mariama explained
If
it
there's
as
a given day that they're closed and the Parks Department has already closed the bathroom, there will be no access to the bathroom. But as long as they are open, there is access to the public and their patrons to the bathroom.
Right, because the concern of the public working group is that there's going to be signage that tells people in the public where to go and the hours to get access, because if it's a secret to the public, it's not really a benefit.
Well, there's two different things, Betty.
Right.
There are two different things. This is making this a business accountable, all right? And it will be accountable, and it can name for public access. In terms of the total public, that's something else, and with the seaport and what has to happen and how you account for that. I don't think you can mix apples and oranges. All right, that's all I'm saying. I don't disagree with you, but that's not this business's responsibility. That's the seaport's responsibility and the Parks Department.
For the public to
Something
know.
else we did on this one with regard to security, I forgot you had asked about security as well, this venue is within the seaport. So they have seaport security. And in addition to that, we made them, they said that they already provided their own security, but we made them agree to the large venue working group stipulations, which require additional security if you're having an event that includes more than 75 persons. And we told them at the committee meeting, if they couldn't agree to that by today, then we would not be giving them the license. So it was based on that. And they were to get back to ONES, which I believe they did, and before this meeting tonight, to agree to all the large venue stipulations in addition to the others. And then on top of that, there's that third layer of seaport regulation that they also have to follow.
Correct. And this is not an unknown vendor. This is someone who has worked with the community before. So we're in a better shape than some others. All right, let's
I put up my hand again.
Hold on. We have an order. I called an order, Joe.
Sure.
All right.
Put me in the queue, Tammy.
I gotcha. I think it's Justine, Alice, Joe, and then Joel.
I'm going to be quick because I'm talking about the bathrooms. And my biggest question is, how many bathrooms are inside the establishment itself?
Two.
And then outside in the South Street Seaport that they're going to keep open?
I actually have not been in there, so I can't say. I don't know.
Well, to clarify, nothing's really inside the establishment themselves. The seaport and the Parks Department are giving them, the management privileges of those bathrooms that are otherwise run by the Parks Department.
Well,
Okay,
there's
so
two
they-
areas.
So this building has no bathrooms and they're increasing the capacity to 361 people? Not plus 361, but 361 total?
You're right, two.
Okay.
No, Justine, there are bathrooms on the pier but
not inside the restaurant. That's why I
not
wanted to
inside the
clarify.
restaurant. Where the Hornblower offices are the two bathrooms, and then the additional bathrooms are on South Street and in the public bathroom area.
On
That
South
makes sense.
Street in the, okay. Yeah.
There's another structure there on South Street that
Correct.
has bathrooms.
On the pier side, not on the street side, right?
No, there's two areas where the bathrooms are. there's on the pier itself,
Right.
underneath, there are offices and there are 2 bathrooms there on the pier. And
Okay.
then when you go outside and you're walking along South Street where all the traffic is and
Yeah.
there's a structure there that houses bathrooms.
Okay.
Let's move on from this because
Okay.
quite frankly, we've spent too much time talking
Fine,
about
talking about the bathrooms. All right, fair.
Alice.
Betty, do you
I
have,
would just suggest maybe language that says the applicant assures that the public will have free access to the bathrooms during the restaurant hours of
They did.
operation from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. Monday to Sunday, which you have in the document.
And we'll know where they are.
Okay, and then the other point I was just going to raise is it's a little unclear or a lot unclear to me. The establishment is a full service restaurant with a total of 7,000 square feet. And there will be a customer increased capacity up to approximately
No,
361. Well, obviously, that's just 2 approximately,
No,
but
I'm sorry,
it's not,
that's a
you've got
mistake.
people versus square footage. I don't know how many more people are at,
Oh,
and how
you're
many
absolutely
tables
right, Alice.
currently
Sorry
have,
about
and how
that.
many
That-
bars. That'll be critical to understand, to Joel's point, how much more we're adding onto the sidewalk. And the only other point on that is the applicant has represented that the outdoor space is currently licensed. Currently licensed as what? A sidewalk cafe, as a restaurant?
As
what?
what it
And
is now, it is currently licensed.
As what?
As the bar restaurant that it is.
As a bar restaurant without a sidewalk cafe. So I think
There
we
is
need
no
to be.
sidewalk cafe on the
No
pier.
sidewalk cafe.
There is no
Okay, so
sidewalk
that-
cafe.
Well, I know this restaurant, so the outdoor part is just part of the restaurant.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I would just make sure your square footage and your tables, you're doing apples to apples in that whereas, Susan, where you've got the 7,000 square feet, 361 people and 84 tables. How many are there now? How many are you adding so that we can
Fine.
keep track?
I don't,
Might be
I don't,
helpful.
Francis.
All right,
and I
that's
don't
it.
have
Thank
any-
you.
I had that number and I couldn't find it and I
Okay,
thought
so,
that
but
it
that's
was-
a friendly
with it.
amendment that's getting in. Let's just move on to the next person.
Okay, can I speak or you have somebody else?
It was
Go ahead,
Joe and
Joe.
then you.
Okay,
As to the bathroom under the East River Drive, they have 2 urinals and 2 closed spaces. Okay? Number 2 is if we're going to have to count on the Parks Department, forget about it. I made a complaint to one of the managers about the tile situation on the Esplanade, and it didn't ring any bells. They don't care.
The manager of the of the bar restaurant, Joe, of the.
No, of the Parks Department. I complained to some of the personnel at the Parks Department. They gave me the phone and I spoke to a manager and nothing, the tiles are terrible. Someone's gonna get hurt. They're loose, they're broken, they're cut, they're cracking, and they're
Joe,
filthy.
Joe, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you put that in an email to Lucian
Okay,
and we will have Lucian follow up from the office?
sure.
And we can follow up, Joe, as well with the owners of the restaurant to put pressure on the Parks Department also.
Well, they won't be interested in the tiles, but that's okay.
No, of making it safe for their
Okay.
clientele, they will be.
I'll send
Okay.
Lucian an email.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Joel Capel.
okay, so my problem is not the bathroom. My problem is they're moving the bar from inside to outside because the inside is dead space. So what they're doing is they're pushing everybody outside into that pier area, which is
Inez,
going
can
to
you
be,
pull up that diagram?
which is going to be more noise, more people out there. And now for the first time, you can actually have a bar out there with bar seating, which
No, it's no
before
bar
was
seating.
inside. So what he's doing is he's
the-
taking all his dead space. that
No,
didn't
no,
work
there's no bar
inside and
seating
putting it
outside, Joel.
Joel,
There's no bar seating outside. It's just more
Putting the
seats
bar out there and he said he's going to have bar stools.
for.
So what I don't like is I don't like the music and I don't like the extra noise that's going to go across the water, even going all the way down to the heliport because that's how far noise travels on water. So you just
Their argument was they've been open all these years, and this is the first time they've someone's come to the committee with this complaint.
Yeah, but they've had noise all the time. All their parties, maybe no one's picked up a phone and complained
But
about it.
Joel, if no one, that is the problem that we have in this community.
Right.
We just can't come back and say, well, it's been a problem for years.
Right.
Unless there's a 311 complaint, unless people file complaints, we got nothing to go on, right? So there's nothing.
Remember, everybody, if you do this, SLA will give them whatever they want without all of our stipulations. Don't ever forget that.
Correct. So
the other challenge with this particular item that Joe's mentioning is that the open restaurants law allowed them to, so all they needed from us was permission to move the bar. That's what they came to us for. They didn't need the permission to add the people and all of that. That came under the umbrella of open restaurants.
Right.
So we couldn't challenge them anymore on that. We tried.
And they still have it because the open restaurant emergency order is still in place.
Yes.
So we don't have a bone to sit on. We can. If there are complaints, people better file them. That's all I'm saying, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jeff, and then
I was just going to make a simple observation that we have spent a little over 20, maybe 25 minutes on this resolution. We have 4 more licensing resolutions to go. And picking up on Susan's point, perhaps we should focus on the things that we can actually affect in our liquor license.
amen.
resolution.
Thank you, Jeff. Colin, I'm assuming you are going to call the question. Was that true?
Absolutely. But I did want to say I really quite like that bar and the outdoor seating. Call to question.
I second it.
Second.
All right. So again, it's an affirmation vote. And so assuming everybody is yay, are there any abstentions?
I'll abstain, Paul Goldstein.
Goldstein abstains. Are there any further abstentions?
Justine Kucha is going to abstain too.
Kucha abstains. Are there further abstentions?
Eric, you also.
Eric, you abstains. Are there further abstentions?
Kay abstains.
Kay abstains. Further abstentions? Hearing no further abstentions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Joe.
I'd like to vote no.
I was just about to go there. Who would like to vote no? That would be Lerner. No.
Kopel, no.
Kopel, no. Hearing no other votes called out, are there any recusals? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay. Francis, are we taking the rest together?
Yes, with a note on 109 West Broadway. Because of the location of the place, it's in the basement. That's why the committee agreed to the hours that they requested until 2 a.m. And then they got support from people in the community about having someplace to go at late nights, and that they've been a good neighbor and they've been okay. So that's the issue for 109 West Broadway. Oh, and at 222 West Broadway, aka 6 Varick Street, there was and it's included in the resolution, there was some discrepancy or issues with the prior tenant, because this at least seems to be taken over by another party, and there was a problem with the prior tenant, and the co-op board was requesting that the problems be fixed before they, the license was approved, and the committee supported that and indicated that in the resolution, and is also going to attach certain documents to the resolution to send to the SLA to support what the co-op board was requesting, because it was affecting some of the structural issues in the building from the prior tenant. So that
Thank you,
was
Francis. You have 2 hands that are up.
okay.
Colin?
Oh, sorry. Nope.
Vicky.
Thank you. Just wanted to sort of remind everyone as I was listening to all this discussion that all these extended hours, like down in FIDI and South Seaport, there is no such thing as a good neighbor at 2 a.m. You guys know, those who don't live there and are lucky to be in Battery Park, what it's like at between midnight and like 3 a.m. with these kids that just stroll from bar to bar and they scream and puke and make messes inside buildings by going to people's apartments. I mean, what kind of, a place are we sort of fostering with these endless bars that are open until all hours of the night and tourists? I mean, it totally diminishes the quality of life, a reasonable quality of life for regular folk who live there. Just wanted to remind everyone that that is really hard in FIDI, the small streets, noise, and sort of barfing. I hate to be so literal about it.
Thank you, Vicky. Charles?
Yeah, Vicky, I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying. I also have to disagree. There is a number of the folks who work in the restaurant business, late hours. We're talking about the servers, the retailers, the cooks, etc. And they need to go out after work. They don't keep the same hours that we do, and many are friends of mine, and they just don't keep the same hours. They need a place to let their hair down after work as well. And we don't want them doing that, obviously, earlier in the day, 10 a.m. before they come to a shift. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Gerald. Before I call the question, Tammy, because I'll call it, I just want to say that the committee works very hard around the hours, and we all look very carefully where and how and who've been good neighbors. And a lot of these places are terrific. We can't control the young kids that roam our streets. I'm sorry about that, but we can't. I'd like to call the question on all these resolutions.
I'm going to second it, and Mimi's got to take it away for roll call. And this is our last of the night. Oh, sorry.
All right, just point of clarification, we're taking all but Pier 15, correct?
Correct.
Thank
We
you.
have already voted on Pier 15, Collins.
I know, just making clear. Do you want me to take it away?
Roll call. Go for it, Colin.
All right. Blank.
Blank, yes, and happy holidays. Sayonara. Good night.
Brown Kennedy.
No. The best part is yet to come, Alice.
Brown Kennedy.
Brown Kennedy, yes.
Cameron.
Yes, thank you.
Cassell. Cassell. Chang.
Chang votes yes.
Cassell, yes.
There you are. Thank you. Chapman.
Chapman, yes. Thank you, everybody.
Charkoudian.
Charkoudian, yes.
Cole.
Well, Cole votes yes. Happy holidays, everybody.
Orman.
Orman, yes.
And
Happy
sorry, guys,
holidays.
I don't mean to be a Grinch, but I just want to get through this. Kucha.
Gia, yes. Happy holidays.
Curtis.
Curtis, yes.
Erman.
I actually now understand.
Chipmunk votes.
Chipmunk said, I swear to God, he can repeat it slowly. I swear he said yes.
I'm so sorry, but there's Flynn.
Flynn, yes.
Sorry, Forsberg.
I'm still laughing. Forsberg, yes.
Sorry. Friedman.
Friedman, yes.
Sorry, Froman.
Froman, yes.
Galloway, yes.
I'm sorry. Goldstein.
Goldstein, yes.
Grant.
Grant, yes.
James.
James, yes.
Joyce.
Joyce, yes. Happy holidays, everybody.
Kay.
Kay, yes.
Cannell.
Cannell, yes.
Kettering.
Kettering, yes.
Capel,
Capel, yes. Stay safe.
Lerner,
Lerner, no on the late night liquor, yes on the other one.
all right. Sorry, which one was late night liquor?
109.
Thank you. Okay, Lyon,
Lion, yes, I'm sorry.
Mahoney, yes. Meltzer,
Yes, thank you. And everybody hang on before we say goodnight. Don't drop so quick.
Please, you need to see, you need to hear this.
Inslee,
Well, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Pandya, I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
It's Ushma Pandya.
Thank you. Your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Robinson,
Robinson, yes.
Schneck,
Next vote, yes.
Sung, Jimmy,
Jimmy Song, yes.
Vera, Sung,
Vera, yes.
Townley.
Townley, yes.
Bob, how are you, buddy? You,
votes yes.
Zelter.
Zelter votes yes.
The yeses have it, and the Chipmunks, 38
Okay.
to nothing.
Onej, could you please cue up the diagram? One last thing is that 161-169 Water Street, which is formerly known as the AIG building, is being retrofitted for this wonderful project. And they gave a presentation that had a lot more slides to it, but I thought that these would be most interesting and would give you an idea in terms of what they're planning. They're planning a 700,000 square foot area of the whole building. The next slide, that gives you the breakdown. That's a timeline in terms of when they're planning on doing all of this stuff, from when they're going to start in 23, right, and 2023 to on. The next slide. And the next slide is all of the activities and time elements that that they plan on having in this structure. We are going to receive a number of requests for liquor licenses, different liquor licenses from them. I'm suggesting to the committee that until we understand exactly, you know, who's on first, who's on second, what they're actually doing, that we can't look at anything that they're doing, that they're proposing. But just be aware, the old AIG building is being transformed into
One
this
big bar.
one. Well, kind of.
Thank you.
Private club, private stuff. We're asking for community space, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, just so you have that, and you can look at it and see what the breakdown is.
I'm sorry, is this 70 Pine?
No, this is
Oh.
the old
170 Water.
AIG building.
175 Water was the AIG address. They are
Oh.
switching it, so depending on the usage, for example, the event space that they are looking for might have 161 or 169. The department store might have 175. They will, Onej, how many licenses have they? Oh, wait, can you go back and put up that proposed timeline again? There you, oh, the other one. There you go. So they're looking to come to us in January with their phase 1 opening. And Onej, how many liquor license requests have they?
Well, I didn't
Oh,
include that in
excellent.
here, but because I
Sure.
thought that was just for the
Yeah, they have.
committee. But
they've-
there's a bunch.
So
There's at
far,
least
they're
15.
coming in January, Francis, to a meeting where you will be with 4 license requests.
Well, we'll see what happens. We just have to see.
We have to
don't
look
have
at-
to, we'll deal with it when it comes. We may not give them to them. Who knows?
Right.
Good night.
Got it. Oh, Eric has.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Awesome. So if you're curious about this project, please go to licensing in January.
Absolutely. All the merrier. Goodbye, everybody.
On that, and thank you, Susan, we're gonna call the meeting to close at 9:41.
Second.
Okay.
That's a second for adjournment, so there we go.
Bye, everybody.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas. Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
everybody.
Holidays.
Holidays.
Holidays,
Buddy,
everyone.
happy holidays.